time for the Lowco Sports Lowdown. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett, Wes Kerr, and Max Araj.
Hey, Lowco Sports fans, JJ, Max Araj, and Marcus Walsh from WHHI TV sitting in for Wes this weekend. Wes is traveling. He's up in New England for a wedding. So, I mean, that
Yeah,
sounds
very
delightful.
nice.
It
Sounds great.
evokes, it's giving Step Brothers. I hope he gets to go to the Catalina wine mixer. But it's definitely giving Step Brothers. Speaking of Step Brothers, Adam Scott, a great in Step Brothers. Severance. If you haven't watched the show Severance on Apple TV, watch it. Think about it. Text me about it. Let's get inside this thing. Great show on Apple TV. But I digress. This is the Lowco Sports Lowdown. It's Saturday night, which is not a usual night for us, but I think kind of might be here for the next few weeks just because our schedules have become so chaotic during the spring season that there are just so many nights where we're getting out of the ballpark or whatever it is. Usually the ballpark, whether you're working or working, Max, no matter what you're doing, it's the ballpark. Whether I'm with my kids or with my other kids, I'm
Yeah,
probably at the ballpark, and so it's just a lot of late nights right now, and we just don't have the gas in the tank to do the nightly shows right now. So there are some nights where we have full intention of doing it, and it doesn't come to pass because it's just everybody's just out of gas and needs to get some rest. So
yeah,
Saturday night special tonight to catch up on a few things and just catch up with each other because we miss it when we don't get to hang out and talk sports together. I know I do. I'm always like, I wonder what's going on with Wes. I haven't talked to him in a couple of days, and so it's a great
yeah.
time for us to catch up with our friends here as well as our friends out there, all of you who watch us, whether you chime in or not. We appreciate you being a part of our little Loco Sports universe. And look, I'm repping something from the Loco Sports universe, the
Very
Anderson
nice.
Jones fan club shirts. That
What a kid,
Yeah, wonderful kid. I
man.
need to check in with his pops and see how everybody's doing over there in the Jones clan. I'm on a
Yeah,
Coke Zero to try to get me through the show tonight. They can send me free Coke Zero if they want to. Um, we'll drink it here in the Jarrett household. But I've had a busy couple of days since we last spoke. I think Wednesday night was the last time we did a show, right?
yes.
We had just had Wednesday in the Ville, where we both got dubs, baseball and softball. And then Thursday night was a blur. Yeah, we had a JV game, last JV game of the season. Didn't get any dubs, but I mean, so many moral victories and so many individual successes, and set up a bunch of girls to keep playing the game for the next few years at least, and hopefully, some of them longer. And then Friday, oh man, thank
You were
goodness
in
it was
Savannah,
Friday.
weren't you,
But we do have the pink
last night?
moon. We have the pink full moon, so the children are gonna. I knew they were crazy for a reason. Friday, extra crazy. They're gonna be extra crazy this week too, leading into spring break because Beaufort County has spring break this week. Jasper does not. Yes, Friday night. I gave the girls the night off from practice, and because my wife, my lovely Type A queen, made plans months ago, which is something I'm not capable of doing, making plans months in advance. But she did, and I'm thankful for it because she snagged us Savannah Bananas tickets, and I had not been to an actual Bananas game, and at least been since last summer, maybe a little longer. I have a lot of history with the Bananas going back to the very beginning because, and I've told the story before, but when they came to town, I was the sports information director at USCB, and we were in the process of bidding to host the NAIA Baseball National Championship opening round, basically the regional, but they don't call it that. It's very much a regional, but they don't call it that. Maybe the NCAA has some kind of beef with them calling it a regional. I don't know, but they call it the opening round. And we had bid to host it, and we had hosted it at Richard Gray before, and it was okay, but it was less than ideal. The lights are not the best for a night game in a championship environment, and you have to play several night games in a row there, and more if you get rain and stuff like that. So we reached out to the Bananas and asked if we could host a Grayson. And they worked with us. They said, actually, yes, that would be great. We would hate for the first game we play here to be our first game, and we don't get to test any of the systems or any of that stuff. So we
Right.
would actually love that. They worked with us, helped us get that bid and make it happen. Of course, it rained that whole week. It was awful. We were squeezing in games whenever we could. I felt like I lived in Grayson Stadium for weeks. I might like haunt that
Well,
place when it rains when I die. But no longer a concern because now they have turf. But anyway, during that time, like it was literally, I think the only people that existed for the Bananas at that time were like Jesse and Jared and their wives,
yep.
Emily and Kelsey, and the dog Daisy that they found allegedly. I still want Jared to come clean whether that was real or they a marketing thing. But Daisy the bat dog was phenomenal. Looking back now, everything that's happened, I have to wonder if Daisy was legit or if they dreamed up that story about the rescued dog, Daisy the bat dog. But regardless, it was a great marketing thing, and we literally watched them grow from like just them and a dream and an idea to the CPL team being the most successful CPL team ever, probably the most successful college summer league team ever, and then from that an entire new sport is born,
Yeah.
and they're the only purveyors of it, and it's unbelievable to see what has happened and to see everybody's rocking jerseys. Actually, I was gonna put it on. I forgot to put it on. I'll have to. I broke down.
Hey.
I got the Party Animals jersey.
Nice.
I broke down. I wasn't going to because I was gonna hold out and get the newest edition when they come out with their merch. The Texas Tailgaters. They have an all denim jersey. It's not actually denim, but it looks denim. They have baseball hats with cowboy hat brims on them. And I met a couple of the tailgaters last night and made friends with them. Nelson Smith, an outfielder who, before he was picked up by the tailgaters, was going to play quarterback in the Arena Football League. And then the other one was Jimmy Lewis, who was drafted out of high school out of Texas, was in the Dodgers system from 2019 to 23. So we talked about what it was
Wow.
like being a prospect during that COVID time when you couldn't go to the facilities and all that stuff. And he said he made it to high A and then started getting hurt. And so he was done at that point. But gets to now finish his baseball career on kind of his terms and with a positive experience after that kind of tough journey through the minors that didn't go the way that he envisioned it would. And he said he's making more money now than he was in the minors. So,
There you go.
but before we
Nice.
go any further, we got a new friend going to join us. So let me shout out the presenting sponsor of Mickelson Law Firm, our original sponsor and our all-star sponsor, the presenting sponsor of the Lowco Sports Lowdown, Mickelson Law Firm. They're our original sponsor and all-star sponsor. They are the official real estate closing attorney and presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage, but you can call on them for all your legal needs, and they love all the teams in the Loco and support all of the Loco Sports Universe. And tonight, whether they want to or not, they present Buford's own, the man, the myth, the legend, Javon Livingston. What is up, brother?
What's going on with you, G?
Welcome, man. I'm on the couch tonight because it's been a long, long week. It's been a series of long weeks. I can't go sit up in that chair over there. I need to put my feet up and relax and look at the TV when I'm not looking at y'all. But I know you feel the same. You've been staying busy, but you got a little downtime now before your next assignment, which is coming to the Ville, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a break. The games kind of went crazy this week. So
Mm-hmm.
the first one, Monday, was rained out. I was going to get Bridges Prep and Hampton County softball on the schedule. What they did was they canceled Friday. They were going to play Tuesday and Friday. They
So
canceled
they ended up
Friday.
playing Thursday,
Uh,
right? I saw that.
no, Tuesday they did a doubleheader.
Oh, that's what
So
happened.
that threw me off. So I was planning for a 6:30 start for one game, and it turned out they were starting at 5 for a doubleheader. So when I saw that at the last second, because my younger cousin actually plays softball for Bridges. So
Okay.
when I found that out, I was like, well, that wouldn't make sense because then I'm going to catch the second game of a doubleheader. I don't, you know, so I didn't do that. I
I've
always skip
avoided the
one.
double headers. I don't think the double header is very productive when unless the teams are both like pretty good and they play a nice crisp game. The
Yeah,
second
so
one's going to be rough.
two blowouts back to back didn't make sense. I had Buford versus I something happened on Thursday, but then Friday was supposed to be Buford May River soccer, and I was going to reschedule that game because it obviously was not going to be a good one. And then I
Right.
turned around and I didn't send the forms. I lost my big book. That's what happened.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
If you've seen Javon's big book, please return it. He needs that thing. It's got all the
Yeah.
ideas. It's got all the stuff in it. You got to
All
have
the
the big book.
I sat there and printed off all six
No.
schedules from sports teams for each school, public and private, and I wrote them all down so that way if I had to
No.
reschedule or do anything, I could just
That's
pick
what
a game
spreadsheets are for, bro.
from damn.
Spreadsheets. Google
I,
Sheets. Google Sheets.
I'm tangible, man. That's too much typing.
Yeah, but that can be tangible, but you can't. Oh man, yeah,
Too
it's
much
all just
typing.
gone. The
That's
whole
how I've
book.
always
You
done
know
it.
what though? I once
So my
lost
mom
my
got me
big book.
this. So,
Trapper Keeper? Did she get you
huh?
a Trapper Keeper?
Yeah, she got me. So this is work hard, play hard. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, nice.
Work
Look
hard.
up and work hard. Yeah, there you go. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I have an idea notebook. I have several of them floating around, but I usually have one that's rolling around with me at any given time.
Yeah.
And one time I left it behind somewhere. I left it at the there you go. I left it at the grind and I couldn't figure out where I left it, man. I could not find it and I was freaking out. Like, oh, so many ideas in there that I haven't executed yet. Oh Lord. And then like months later, after I thought it was long gone, and it was a special one because it was given to me by Brooke Simons when she graduated from high school, our first like big time Loco Sports intern, now at Syracuse, and got to be close to graduating and doing way better things than any of us. What, Javon? What's up, buddy? You're getting real
Is
close
that
to the
Max
camera
with a
there.
setup? Is Max with a setup upgrade? Is
Max,
that what that is?
he's pretending right now. He's pretending it's not actually plugged up yet. He's
Hey,
just
I've
pretending.
done that before too. I've done that before too.
You got to see how it looks, see if he needs to make any adjustments. I get it. But yeah, I thought that book was lost, and then lo and behold, someone from Clark Hummel from the little CBD shop that's in the grind. He said, "Hey, they were looking for you because they found your book." And I said, I'm Facebook friends with them. I'll send them a message. And so I got my book back. That made me real
There
happy.
you go. All
So
right.
maybe you'll find your big book. That's why I said all that. There was a
It's
purpose to it.
I need it, man, because that's how I
But
do it, man. Like
today,
if the
oh
seedings
yeah, go
change, I
ahead.
can just pick a game. That's it.
Yeah. That's your whole brain in that thing, man. Like
Hmm.
you had uploaded it all. So today I had a little fun. I'm pretty proud. I had a little dad day. Don't get too many Saturdays to just hang around the house and do the
Right.
things. So, pulled some weeds, sprayed some weeds, put down some fertilizer, made a little Ace Hardware run. Also, this is what I'm proud of. I got some bungees and I got a nice eye hole screw, and I tethered the batting cage in the backyard to the house, and now it's not pulling down, it's pulling up and out, so it actually pulls it. Oh, it looks so good. And then I zip
That's what's
tied
up.
the net to the poles so it stays where it's supposed to stay. We should really be solid now. Pretty proud.
Man, I gotta come to your place one day.
You got to come
That's
over.
what's
Yeah,
up.
we'll set up the pitching machine and rock and roll, man. It's good times.
Are are failed backflips allowed?
Failed backflips.
Yeah,
This
are
is
they
a
allowed?
this is a batting cage, bro. You're gonna do backflips in the
So
batting cage. There is a trampoline
no,
too, but
no, no. Be clear.
I'm
I
not
said
covering your
failed backflips.
medical. Uh huh.
I'm gonna fail a backflip.
I mean, failed backflips usually result in broken necks, so I mean, not great. Not great. But there is a
It's
trampoline.
it,
Use it at your
it's
own
all about the
risk.
spirit. You gotta have
It's not
chutzpah.
covering your medical bill. But all right, how y'all boys been? I've been talking a lot here.
Oh man, just like you said, JJ, I think for all of us in different ventures, work, non-work related, we're all kind of up against it. The last few weeks for me have just been wild and a whirlwind of, rehearsals and whatnot. Been doing some other stuff, certainly for WHHI and just trying to keep tabs on as much as I can, but it's been crazy. So definitely you know, happy that I'm able to do it all, but it was definitely a low down kind of day for me today just to try to recharge.
Heard that. Heard that.
Uh, I
Yeah.
just been scouting. That's what I've been doing. I'm watching a little semi-pro, working on my defensive coordinator
Oh,
skills. So
so yeah, you're the
getting in the
DC for the Port Wentworth Broncos. It is.
yeah, yes, sir.
And
All
oh,
right, so folks in the Lowco universe are familiar with the Hilton Head Sharks. Max
hmm
Raj, over there to my side, is the host of Hilton Head Sharks Central. So
The
you don't play in the
Twins.
same league, not the same league as you guys, right?
No, they're in a different league. I used to play for them
Right,
years ago when I was like first
right,
out of college. I did,
right.
but yeah, nah, the Twins. Yeah, they're in a different league. That's right.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so who do you guys? Where are you guys in your season?
Terrible. We are
No, I meant like
cur-
what part of the season you in? I guess obviously
midway,
before
midway,
terrible, but
midway, final stretch. Three games left to
same
go.
kind of
4 games
time
left.
frame as the other league, basically.
Yeah, we're midway, 4 games left to go. Fighting for the playoffs. I think I came on as DC, so we've had some good showings. I think there's some things that we could change. I think the scoreboard from our last game didn't necessarily reflect what happened. So basically, what happened is short story.
Happened was is
Short story. I'm short to the point. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We held them to 42% passing. They went
okay.
8 for like 19, I think the math is, or eight for 20, I think. But 4 of those 8 completions were touchdowns.
oh,
Ooh,
mm,
Oh,
gotta stay
And
behind the
so,
ball, boys. Gotta stay
yep.
behind the ball.
oh,
So it's 8 for 19. We got 2 picks, 2 sacks. We got like 5 pass deflections. So all of those incompletions we had a hand in. But the 8 that we allowed them to complete, 4 of them were touchdowns. So that kind of, you know,
Word, word. I
yeah.
we had
hear
to
you. So
score
we
pretty
gotta
bad.
stop giving up them big plays. We gotta
Yep.
find a way to limit those. Keep the as them safeties gotta stay deep. They can't get sucked in. They gotta stay
And
deep. Can't get beat
and that's
deep.
what it is. So this is my second game. I joined mid-season. They asked me to come on because they were struggling in the beginning. And so they
All
asked me to come
right.
on mid-season. So it's like, got a chance
Uh,
of things around.
all right. So they headhunted you. They're looking for a
Hey,
brilliant DC. So what? So how'd your name get so big in the circles that they was looking for help and they came looking for you as the shaman to come in and fix the defense?
well, I have a habit for being in the bird's eye view. So
Right. So you
I,
see the
I, I
game.
see
Yeah.
I see a lot of things. I see a lot. Obviously, as a former player for a couple of teams in semi-pro, everybody knows me from my playing days for playing
Okay.
linebacker, and that's kind of how that kind of worked in, knowing that I know the defense. And
Okay.
the guy that owns the Port Whitworth Broncos, David Birch, he used to play with me before when I was the captain of the defense. And so,
Okay.
and the way our team went, they just let me kind of coordinate the defense, let me call it. So that's how that kind of transpired. He's like, I know you know
All right.
defense. We need
You
a
were kind of
guy.
the player coach. You were kind of the player DC before, so
Yeah,
that
and that's
did.
basically how that
Okay.
went. So he was like, "Hey, I
All
got
right.
a team, and we've been struggling, and we need some help. We don't have a coaches. Some of our
This
guys
man's
don't
the
really know."
Gerard Mayo of. I hope you last more than a year.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
right, right, right. So far,
Maybe you're the
so
Vrabel. Maybe you're the Mike Vrabel. You know.
listen, we've had a high and a low. So we've had a goose egg, and then we've had a 32. So we'll see what happens next week. So
That's
sounds
it,
about
man.
sounds about right.
whatever happens, happens. But on to the next one. Who you got
Yeah, that's
next?
how it goes. We have the what's the name of the team? We have the Cherokee County Bruins next, if I'm not
Cherokee
mistaken.
County Bruins.
They're
I'm from
leading the
Cherokee County, but that's in Kansas. Cherokee County,
no, no,
Kansas.
no. This is in Georgia, and they are leading the north side of the bracket right now, the north standing. So,
Okay, okay. So
but I think we got a
you got
shot.
your work cut out. You've been watching the film, getting ready for the Bruins. All right, good stuff. I'd love to talk. I kind of like this semi-pro world. I don't know enough about it. You going 3-4? You going 4-3? What are you running? You running
4-3.
man? You running zone?
Yeah, we go 4-3, and we try to run zone. And that's what
Okay.
we try to do. I think for us, the communication was when we ran zone, and I'm thinking the guys just kind of know. All right, cool. We're gonna play. I was kind of letting them the defense for the first two games that I seen. The one that I came and shadowed just to see, if I wanted to do it.
Hmm.
And then the game where I actually coach, we shut them out 0, but that wasn't really that good of a team. And I think
Right.
that's for the people that aren't familiar with the semi-pro world. Some of it is high school level and skill. So you can get blurred by a 40 something 0 victory, but that team that lost, they're not really that good of a team. They don't really have a
Right.
Right.
shot.
Right. Yeah.
So
There's layers
um,
to it. We care about what
yeah,
happens. We care about more about how it happens.
exactly. So,
You
but I didn't
may
see
get
much in the past.
if you don't know how Andrew Jackson died, you might find out tonight because Kevin Libby is on one. The Cherokee were in Georgia before Andrew Jackson. Facts. They were here before any of us.
Mm.
But
Live University, baby.
oh yeah, he's gonna take us to school tonight.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But so is that philosophical for you 4-3 or is that personnel based? Because you're a Steelers guy and they're famous for the 3-4. So
Yeah, I'm naturally 4-3. When I'm playing, I love a 3
yeah,
4. But if I'm not playing, I tend to go 4-3. We might work
okay.
to 3-4 because we have more linebackers. So I have
Right.
four
That's kind of
solid.
what
I
I
have four.
yeah
Yeah, I have four solid linebackers,
yeah
and the point is, somebody has to be off the field, and that sucks.
right.
While I'm running the 4-3,
And
and so I
and
might
we all
change it.
know
Yeah.
it's fine. It's hard to find four dudes who want to put their hand on the ground and play in them trenches and in some pro
Yeah.
football or any level of
Yeah.
football for that matter.
Yeah.
So that's what I
Yeah.
wondered is if you were running a 4-3 just because you happen to have four big dudes who like their hand on the ground and only three linebackers, or if so you might have to switch it up. It sounds like you got the personnel to run a 3-4. Sounds like
Yeah, so when we got smaller guys on the outside, that's most of the time how semi-pro works. You get those guys that are athletic, but probably their IQ probably base isn't necessarily up to par to play linebacker or DB. So,
yeah.
but they're still fast, so you put them and got a little bit of size, so you put them on the edge and let them just go on the big tackles, and they can't catch them with the speed. So,
There you
that's
go.
kind of how
How
that
many
works.
Real
So we got the
real
how
personnel
talk
many
for
here.
the
I
guys
know
3-4.
do you
Libby's kind of half joking, but real talk. Do you have? Are you required to have health insurance to play on one of these teams? Because it feels like you should be.
Oh, nope, that's
Oh
free
boy.
game. That's on
Oh boy.
that's on
Wow.
that's all on you, baby.
Oh
That's
boy.
all on
There,
you.
there should definitely be like what you should have to get a physical and you should have to have health insurance and show proof of health
Absolutely.
insurance,
Nope,
man.
it's
That's
it's
crazy
all
work.
you. It's all you, man. I've been on the good side and the bad side of it. So,
Oh
but
man,
it's
that's
it's
how
such a
many
lawsuit waiting to
well,
happen.
what happens is that they try it. What was that, Max?
how many players do you guys have on the roster?
Start of the season, guys that signed up and wanted to play about 60. Actually
Holy
show
cow.
up to games and not crying about playing time. Probably
60.
about 35 to 40 on game day.
Man.
That's
That's
still
still a
a
good
lot.
number.
My God,
That's a
Yeah.
that's a
good
good
number.
number.
Where y'all play your
hmm
games?
We play on Saturdays.
Where at?
Saturday at 6. In Port Wentworth at Mobley Park, Mobley Field, I believe it is.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
How about that?
hmm
How
that's awesome.
So,
about that? There's so much semi-pro football going on out there that nobody knows about. And
Well, I
like
mean, why
yeah.
we're
I
covering
don't know that they necessarily need to know about it, but it's kind of a cool little, subculture that people don't know exists.
Well,
Yeah, I
what
mean,
happens is once you go from the organization and the support of the kids of, that's my kid trying to get them to college. Now it's just guys just playing,
Kids
and some of
playing, yeah.
the attitude sometimes it kind of runs people out of the stands, and that's what kills semi-pro, and that's what the leagues now are trying to promote. Like if they see anything on film or a live stream, or they hear about a guy, losing his bolts, they kind of kick him
Nuck
out.
if you buck.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
kill. Yeah, nuck if you buck. They got to keep
Yeah.
the crash
Yeah,
outs.
like
You got to keep them
if
out
you
of the
want to
league.
do that, go do MMA, brother. They got classes for that over at the gym.
Hmm.
Like just go fight somebody if that's what you want to do. We're here to play
Yeah,
football. But good times. So a few things to discuss. Marcus, you brought this to our attention, and really it's much about nothing, but does require some clarity and context. We were talking about Harry Skinner making the move to Moravian Prep up in North Carolina the other night, and I mentioned and very clearly qualified that it was there had been some whispers to me like, "Hey, have you heard anything? I heard Coach Gabriel might be moving back to North Carolina, blah, blah, blah." And I mentioned that the other night, and I guess it got back to him, and people were asking him questions, and that was kind of the purpose of bringing it up, was to put it into the atmosphere and let the real story come back, because that's what always happens. If we float a balloon, somebody will listen
you'll
and go,
find
"I
out.
know
Yeah,
the answer to that," and they'll bring us the answer.
Yeah.
That's how reporting actually like used to work,
Yep.
except
yeah.
that you had to call everyone individually and find somebody who had the answer. But now we can kind of just float a balloon out there and people will bring it to us. And so it's kind of evolved in that way. So anyway, the answer is no. Coach Gabriel's not going anywhere.
That's right.
He loves it
I'm
here.
I'm
Uh,
glad to hear that.
yeah, and I was
Yeah,
shocked
they had
to
a
hear
solid
that
year.
people were saying he might be leaving, because everything I
I
had
was
seen
too.
from him was the opposite, you know. So he made it very clear to us that no, his wife loves it here, which is a very important factor
Happy
in
wife, happy life.
the metric. Yeah, 100%. She loves it here. Doesn't want to go. Doesn't want to be anywhere else. He doesn't want to be anywhere else. In fact, he wishes Harry was staying, and if he were more selfish, Harry may be staying. But he actually suggested to Harry
That's right.
that there was a good spot for him in North Carolina. He knows Coach Ellis. He spoke to him, sent film, introduced them, took Harry up for a visit. Everybody loved it. It's basketball all the time. Everybody loves basketball and cares as much about being as great as they can be as Harry does, which is hard to find when you care that much. It can be frustrating around kids who aren't as bought in as you, and he will not find that there. He will find everybody's like him. In fact, it looks like he has already uh, joined in with them, I think.
Wow.
They're playing in Pittsburgh this weekend. And I think
So
he may be already playing with them. So it's a thing where I'm really happy to hear that Coach Gabriel not only is staying around, but he is who he thought he was, in terms of he is going to push each kid on the best path for them. And he
Right.
could have selfishly said, "Oh no, we're gonna get a couple guys in here and we're gonna blah blah blah. You got to stay here. You got to stay here." And no, he sent Harry on what he thought was the best path for him to go as far as he can go in the game, and that's reassuring that Bluffton has the right guy, and I'm excited to hear that he plans to stay for
And
quite some
I
time.
think it,
So
and I agree with the coach in saying that I think it is the best route for Harry
I do too.
to reclassify for 2027 and spend some more time at this current level, getting to be better, filling himself out as well, because he's not the biggest dude on the court, so he's got to be
Right.
able
No,
to learn how
far
to
But
play
from
more
it.
than
inside.
anything, just
I just
proving that he can, or finding out why he can't play against
I
that level of competition,
And how to
and then going
improve.
back to the drawing board to try to prove it,
Yeah.
because he's got a chance to prove he's a Division 1 talent, because he's going to be playing against a bunch of for sure Division 1 talents.
Yep.
That's the
Yes,
reality.
absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
it's dope that you find a guy that's willing to
Yeah,
give up basically his all-state guard to further
his
him
star.
to be better, especially when you got an opportunity where you got a lot of guys, coming back to be able to try to, run it back. You got some good
Right.
depth. You had some good younger guys on that Bluffton team too. So to do that, that's an even bigger move and more positive of him. And that's always been my gripe with high school ball
Well,
because there's a fine line of doing the best for the kid and then
amen.
trying to win games to keep your job.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, and it is a fine line because you also need to do first and foremost what's best for the team, right? Like that's kind of the hierarchy, team first. But then you have to be able to recognize when you've got a special kid that you don't want to sell them short. And Bluffton doesn't have as much coming back as you might think off the top of your head, just because. Let's see. So Manning graduated. Carnell, I believe, is going to graduate early and enroll early at Virginia Tech, so he won't be around for basketball season.
that's the swing. That's the swing. Okay.
Right, and there's an outside chance that Aiden could do that too, right? Like if he ends up finding his spot, he might take that route as well.
And I think he
'Cause
will. I think he will
yeah,
find that
I
spot.
think he will too. And I don't know for sure if he'll do the early thing, but he might
The
not play
options they
basketball
have these
either.
days, man. Kids have some
They're
decisions to
wild.
Right.
make.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Brandon
Really
White's
Big
gone
ones
as
too.
well. So they don't have a whole lot coming back for Harry to come back for. And so I
Yeah.
think it makes so much more sense for him. Because, I mean, in reality, if you're not being recruited by your junior year, you're probably not going to be heavily recruited. Like you still might get a few stragglers, but most of the big dogs have got their classes kind of locked in.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
that point, if you haven't heard from him, you ain't on the list. So, he needed probably the extra year. This buys him another year to be the junior year again in a much more high profile environment against, top level competition and see where you are. And if he's not there, then he can go back to work and try to be there for his senior year. But I think he's got a chance to be great. What'd you say, Javon? Juju.
Oh no! A while ago, he
Oh,
asked
yeah,
what was
yeah,
I
yeah.
wearing, and it's a
Yeah, yeah,
Juju
Juju.
Smith-Schuster jersey. When we
Yeah,
thought he
Juju.
was going to pan out to be a good number one receiver, and
You
he
know
Right.
what?
I was wondering what
I
did.
what
I
number
got
that
much
was as
love for
well.
Juju. Juju has helped us secure a couple of Super Bowl titles. Every time we're in desperate
Well,
need in Kansas City for a receiver who knows what's going on, we call on Juju and he comes and makes some plays for us. So I can't complain about it.
or did Patrick Mahomes talk to him like Bill Belichick and say, "Do your job. You're going to be open. I'm going to throw the ball. Andy Reid's going to design it.
Look,
I'm going to get it to you. Just make the
I
catch,
don't.
bro."
That's what I'm saying. I'm just
Right.
saying that
Yeah.
Just
there have
make the
been
catch.
times when it was like,
I,
well, but God, we don't have any receivers. Who's going to catch
I've
the
s-
big pass? And
right.
Juju,
I,
he caught a bunch of them. So I got love
I've
for
s-
Juju.
I've seen it, but I've also seen
You
since the
saying
disappearance.
you could have made some of them plays? Is that what you're saying?
No, no, no. I'm just saying. Well, one, yes, yes. If I was just wide open, but 12 million to play
Yes.
somewhere else last season,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
So
That's true.
as a Steelers fan, I watched after the
Hey,
disappearance of AB, who was
right.
on track to be
Lost
a
his
top
mind
five all time.
Yeah.
and then lost his
Once he
mind.
left, he
Big
he
time.
uh Juju never had another 1,000 yard season after that. So,
No, no. He
but
wasn't a number one. He never was. He couldn't have been. Like he just wasn't that guy.
never
Um
had a AB was
that
that
was
dude, man.
that was their fault for
He
thinking
sure
he
was.
was, because he wasn't. But AB was
I always
also
will love.
crazy
Yeah, I
pants.
will always
I'm
love the
trying to
days.
tell
He
you.
was nuts.
I will always love the days of everyone talking about who's the better receiver, Antonio Brown or Julio Jones at one point, because it
Or
was those two
Ochocinco, he was in the
receivers
mix for a while.
running the NFL. Yeah,
He's also crazy. What is it with wide
Yeah.
receivers? Why are they so cray?
I don't
No,
know.
They're
why
just
why, why are Steelers always drafting the crazy wide receivers?
It's the
Ain't
Because
just
Steelers.
them. Look at Tyreek.
we go
Look
no,
at Tyreek. He's a psycho. They're all
no,
psycho.
no. I want you to listen to our draft.
Rasheed
This
Rice.
is this,
Remember
no,
Rasheed Rice? He left
this
Andy
isn't.
Reid's playbook in the car. You can't do that.
Oh yeah, you can't do that. That's terrible.
Yeah,
But
That's a Cardinals
our short history for drafting, not trades, not drafting
Just
wide
purely
receivers.
Yeah,
drafting.
it's not great. They're all
It's
psychos.
AB,
Your
Martavius
boy
Bryant,
George.
Mike Wallace,
oh,
uh,
Brian, yeah.
Mike Wallace, Juju, Claypool. Now we
George.
got George Pickens crash out
He's
with
psycho
the
too.
shiesty,
Yeah.
and then we just picked up DK. So at least, but he has the workout and wants to play ball
Yeah,
with
he's not a
DK,
total
Oh,
but
crash
he,
dude,
out. I
when
think
you
that's
say
good
he's
for
not a
workout,
him.
total crash
when
out.
you say workout, I don't think I've ever seen a receiver have a build like he does.
Oh
I mean,
Lord.
That dude
that
is
dude's
Yeah,
body
crazy.
that's a
fat
good point,
percentage
Max.
is
An
low.
Adonis. An Adonis.
Yeah, he's
But
But
anyway,
our draft
uh,
wide receiver history is terrible.
yeah, it's horrible.
yeah. I was gonna try to tell us about some games that have been happening, but I don't have all the scores tracked down yet. But I do know Thursday night we had Hilton Head girls lacrosse beating up on Richmond Hill. Hilton Head boys lacrosse blasting Beaufort. Oceanside beat Battery Creek in soccer, boys and girls. My girls from Legacy Christian got a softball dub over North Walterboro. I think they're going to get
Mhm.
that SCAX title again this year. Carlton Prep beat John Paul in softball 8-3. They're still rolling. Lowcountry Leadership beat Bridges Prep. Hampton beat Bridges Prep. That was a doubleheader on Tuesday, I guess.
Mhm.
We learned Andrew Jackson blank Buford Academy, which I think I was texting with Dietrich Schufert the other day, and he said they needed to beat Andrew Jackson and Thomas Hayward to get in the playoffs, and they lost both those. So I guess they're going to miss out. But they did beat up on Battery Creek the other day, so that was cool for them.
Carlton Prep
Uh,
beating
I was
JP2.
at that
Carlton
game
Prep.
too. I was having all kind of technical issues. That was
Oh
by the
yeah,
time by the time I got up and running, it was like 11-0, and I was
so deep
like,
down you're
I
like, I'm
might as well.
good.
Oh,
I was like, I might as well just break it back down.
I thought was going to be
HHCA
that May
baseball
River
beat
game.
JP2 10-4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
10-4.
That Carlton Prep softball
10-4.
game against JP2 is actually that's a good win
That's a
for
good win for
Carlton Prep.
them. Yeah, they've been on a roll too.
They have,
Roll.
especially compared to how they started the season. But then again, you look at who they played to start the year. That's a tough schedule to start the season out for Carlton Prep, and look where they are now. Their region title, claimed the region title this once again this year. Although, granted, their region wasn't that great to begin with because they outscored their opponents 72-0 in region play. So I mean
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah,
Our
but
spring sports
still.
are not this
But
year.
still, I
They
mean,
are.
JPU softball is a 4A softball program, so that's
It's
pretty
very
impressive.
haves and have-nots, right? Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
outside of that
very
boys
few
soccer
good
region,
matchups.
yeah, it's not. It's like you said, very haves and has nots. Outside of that
Yeah.
4A boys soccer region, it's very shaky across the board
I would say
everywhere.
4A
And even if
baseball is
they're good
also
again,
good.
you said
baseball's
what?
baseball's there.
4A
Baseball's
baseball is
there.
pretty good.
Yeah. It just seems like like outside of competing with each other. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about
Right.
against the rest of the state, you know what I'm saying? That's how you could tell.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's been
I will
Yeah, and
say
I'll
this:
say
look
I'll
at
say
all
the
those.
4A baseball and the 4A boys soccer, but also girls soccer, but especially boys soccer region are going to compete well in the state. I think May River softball and Colleton will both do pretty well in the state.
You
yeah.
know the
Um,
downside to all of that is that
and
Bishop England
then
is in front in
yeah,
both
yeah,
boys and girls soccer as well as baseball currently.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's just like when it was James Island or Lucy Beckham, and still
True.
our teams that finished second or third or fourth in the region made runs in the playoffs. So
We gotta
I'm not
figure that
really
out,
mad
man.
for that.
Charleston takes us down too much,
I
man.
know.
It
yeah.
really
I know.
does.
I don't. I
We're
hate it.
trying to even the playing field a little bit through all the things we're doing with one loco
Let Bishop
and
England suffer
just
in
trying
5A with
to.
the rest of the Charleston teams.
Yeah,
Well,
and this is something we were talking about today. I was actually talking with a soccer ref about it, and we were talking about how Oceanside, they were supposed to go up to 4A, and they proceeded to put in the
the
appeal, and they
appeal.
won the
Yeah.
appeal to get to stay down at 3A. And I think you're still apples and oranges, man. Like
Yeah,
they don't belong in a region with Battery Creek and
Yeah.
Orangeburg,
No.
Wilkinson, and North Charleston and Hanahan. That's
yeah,
Unless
crazy.
it's
They need to be in 5A. They all need to be in 5A.
basketball.
yeah.
Unless it's boys
That-
basketball, they don't belong in that region.
Still, they don't. It's apples and oranges. They don't have the
Yeah.
same resources. They don't have the same pool of kids. It doesn't make sense. It's like
and
which one
speaking,
of these is not like
It
the other
shocked
one?
me that. Yeah, it does
if
shock
they
me.
if they
Go ahead,
I
Javon.
was just gonna say if they're not good at basketball this year, they just weren't that good. But they're there. I remember when they came to Well Branch when Nick Pringle was
Oh
there.
yeah,
Oh, true.
and it
They
was
were
a
Oceanside was good.
it was a David and Goliath battle too that Pringle and them had to win.
But like
That
when I
team
mean
was
basketball,
loaded.
what I say is those three teams of Oceanside,
Oh
Orangeburg,
yeah,
Wilkinson, and North Charleston
Yeah.
were all extremely competitive. Other than
sure,
that,
Right.
sure.
every other sport, Oceanside Collegiate is pretty much dominant in.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you got to
There's
look
Okay. Yeah.
no
across the
sport
board.
where they're
That
not
just
in third
happens to
place.
be that basketball's the sport that those schools are good at
Yeah.
Yeah.
demographic,
No, Charleston
and
Orangeburg.
also
Yeah.
like
The
track. They
problem
probably
is,
wax Oceanside in track too. You
but the
know, like
downside of it is Battery Creek suffers from it every time, and
yeah,
they
they get
suffer
host
from it.
and North Charleston and
North
OW.
Charleston
Like
as well.
none of those
I
schools are
don't
like
understand
anything
why
like
Oceanside
Oceanside.
Collegiate's sitting in 3A. I've never
Yeah,
understood it. Why are they not a 4A program? Because
yeah.
they're good enough in every
But we got
sport
to
to
give
be
this thing
4A
time.
program.
We got to give
But that's
this
how I
thing
feel about
time.
all the collegiate academies. We all feel like they needed to go. You know.
Yeah, that's very
Oh
true.
God, yeah. But
Very
And that
true.
was
we all knew that it was only going to be a 2-year stay in 4A for
Yeah.
them. They're not going to let them get another cycle there. They're not going to win the appeal again. And they may even, for all we know, increase the multiplier next time and say, you know what, it didn't bump people up enough because we still have charters in 1A now. It's just new charters that are artificially capped to stay smaller, so they stay in
mhm.
1A. Because we got like Green Upstate and all these charter
Now you
schools in
got
1A.
Atlantic Collegiate Academy now.
And
This
and
is gonna be a
then
new
you
one
got
every single year.
well, there's one coming in Hardyville. Marshview
Hardyville.
Collegiate's coming next year in Hardyville. I don't know where their physical space is going to be if they have one, but they're coming
In
online.
Hardyville?
Yep,
Yeah.
and it's by the same
Wow.
people who brought you Oceanside and Gray and Atlantic, and they're coming to Hardyville, Marshview Collegiate, and they're trying to
You
draw
talking about
people
in the
from all
place that
over.
only already has 1A schools in the first place?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, where do you
You're
think
gonna
they're
put
going to get
another
So,
them?
one
oh, they're
They're going to
trying to
bring kids.
draw. They're trying to draw
They're
in
from
May
bringing kids
River?
from
Savannah to
everywhere, not
Hilton
just
Head, brother.
Hardyville. They're bringing them
They're
from
trying to
everywhere,
draw
not
from
just
Savannah to
Hardyville.
Hilton Head to
Oh,
Beaufort.
yeah,
That's what they're looking
exactly.
for.
They're going to bring kids from Savannah,
One-time
Bluffton,
transfer
Hilton
rule.
Head. You know,
Jesus.
I mean, they might bring kids as far out as Beaufort, which would be unreal to think
hmm
about. But it's a
Absolutely.
possibility.
So they're gonna have to
Especially
do something with all of this, because I mean, as it is, they would go into a region with us and Bamberg
oh,
and Denmark and uh, Royal Live Oaks. Like it doesn't make
That just
sense.
won't be fair. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So we're that's the
don't
next
give Bamberg a fight for
frontier.
something.
I don't like it. I'd rather lose
I
against
still
competition,
think
man.
here's the only thing I'll say: the more of them there come to be, the more likely it becomes that they have to just play in their own league because it's
Skis a
just
5A.
that's what I'm saying. Skis of 5A.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I mean,
either that or the high school league says, okay, but you have your own division. We're not doing this anymore. Like you can play in the high school league, but you're gonna have your own division. And we can divide it into
because
two
they got
divisions if you want, but you're not playing for these public school championships anymore.
Mm.
because
Because it's just not
they
the
were able to
same
do whatever
thing.
they wanted. Yeah, they were able to do whatever they wanted in terms of bringing kids into the school.
It would be
They
like if a D1 program, like a middling D1 program, could drop to D3 but still operate like a D1. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they'd win all
Yeah.
the championships because they're playing
But
a
I think they
different
just need to
game.
do it. Well, the thing I
I do
hate when
too.
things like that is that a lot of
Every
times
time
when
they
the people
try,
sit in
though,
those
every time the high school league tries to fight back against them, the legislature steps in and says, you can't do that. It's crazy.
well, now they got the
yeah.
one-time transfer thing, so I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see how the
Yeah.
collegiate schools handle that.
Well, how they handle it is they're going to go recruit like crazy. They're going to go, hey, You can come here no matter where you live, and there's no penalty. You just got to enroll before the season starts. Because
But
if you
I feel
enroll
like
after
that
the
should.
season starts, you can't play in the playoffs. I think it's going to help them recruit more.
I just
That's a
think
good
that
point.
should be the. I don't know what goes on, completely with the legislature, but I just hate that whenever they have those conversations and the people that sits on the room, they just feel like, well, we can't, and it's like, yeah, you can. Like, what
Right.
they're doing, like,
But what
and
Yes.
I
they mean
get
is,
you
no,
have to
we
go
can't
X's and
because
O's.
we owe those people favors, and we told them we'd do this. Is what they mean by we can't.
Yeah, I was like,
Just so you know.
there's, you know what's going on, like, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
like,
I
everybody
mean,
knows what's going
granted,
on.
that new collegiate
Cronyism.
school in Hardyville said they weren't going to poach any of the kids from Hardyville, but
Well, I
you never
mean,
know.
okay,
they
yeah,
might
that's
not
till one
poach, but that
till one comes
doesn't
out
stop.
6'6", 220, then what?
Right. They might not poach, but that doesn't stop, our kids and their families from
From
going
going
over
there,
there and talking to
yes,
them. And they ain't
absolutely.
gonna go, oh no, 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 we're not taking kids from Hardyville.
That's
Like,
that's the one thing I'm almost worried about.
it is what it
Well,
is,
the
man.
only thing I would say
The
regarding
grass ain't
Hardyville is,
always greener. The grass ain't
yeah,
always green.
the one thing I would say regarding the Hardyville area is it's growing, and it's growing fast too,
Massively.
especially
No
with the
question.
new port they're putting in
And we
on
have
the
a
river.
quick trip.
Yes,
Bucky's,
and we have a crib trip, and a
You
Bucky's
know
is
what?
coming.
I don't even care about Bucky's
Bucky's,
at this stage
Bucky's,
because
Buck.
I
Quick
don't
trip.
even care
Max,
anymore because now I know about all the best parts of Quick Trip, including the iced coffee bar
No,
with
the
all the
iced coffee,
taps
man.
Max,
and
that's
and
sacrilegious.
all the
Max,
things
kick
you
him off
can
his own
order.
stream.
I actually think
Kick
F
him off his
But
own
I
stream.
agree with
F
you.
Wawa, marry Quick Trip, kill Bucky's. There, I said it.
What? You're
Yep.
insane.
Yeah, dude,
You're
have you
insane.
been to a quick trip
Have you
lately?
been to
It's
Quick Trip
so
lately?
good.
Yes, the one
It's
on
so
Speed
good.
White Hardy Boulevard. I've been there. I
Yeah,
go get the
I've
personal
tried
pan
one.
pizza and the
yeah.
and the white grape tea. I go get it.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh,
like I
You an
know
iced
I'm
coffee guy?
I will,
You an iced coffee
Javon,
guy?
I will
I'm
say
not a
this.
coffee drinker at all.
Oh
Javon,
man,
I will say
that
this. I
iced
will say
coffee is
this.
glorious.
There ain't nothing on earth that would beat a Bucky's brisket sandwich. Nothing.
Except
But
maybe
no,
the mac and cheese with beef brisket from Quick Trip. It's
I didn't even know they
amazing.
made that. I didn't even know
Oh,
they
they
made that.
do, brother. They do.
Oh,
It's
Okay.
amazing. Like I'm
and
just
the grill.
saying,
Hey, wait,
before
hold
you
on.
think I'm crazy, go to Quick Trip a couple times, order some food off of
They
that
do
little
have.
I've
kiosk.
been. I go and I come back from
You
Port
ordering the
They
food
Whitworth.
do
off the
have.
kiosk?
They do have
You
the
ordering the
best.
fresh food
Yes.
off the kiosk? What
Well,
you
I
They
just
getting?
have
get
the
pizza.
best.
You got to try some other stuff, my friend.
I would say.
You
I
got to
will
try
say
some
they
other
do
stuff.
have the
You
best
got to
gas
venture
station
out from
mac
the
and cheese
pizza.
I've ever had.
I got
Oh
a
my
cough
That
for
gas
goodness.
some
station
reason.
mac and cheese is good, bro. That gas
And
station mac
then
and cheese.
iced coffee. Ooh, the iced coffee bar. Twice a day, I got to hit up this iced coffee bar now. This thing is
I
so
gotta
good. I go
travel
half.
over to
I get
One
the
a.m.
large.
Bucky's
bro.
too.
It's only
8 a.m.
$3. This thing would cost
Yeah.
you like the same as your mortgage at Starbucks. This big old cup of iced coffee, but you got
Oh no.
unfettered access to this row of taps. And you
Oh, it's
start
so
with
good.
the nitro cold brew for
Oh,
about half of it. Then you come in with that caramel iced latte. Oh yeah, sweetens it up
mm.
nice. Hit it with just a little bit of that mocha latte, just a little chocolate. Come back with a little bit more nitro cold brew. Stir that thing up. Drink as much as you can in one big swig, and then see which one you need to add to it.
I.
You know when
I'm
you
not gonna
taste it,
lie.
and
I.
Or
then
you could just
yeah,
wake up and drink some water. That always helps.
nah, nah,
I'm a
nah.
Water.
This is
caffeine
at
guy
Hey,
too.
lunchtime.
sorry, but
This is
water
a
does not help you
lunchtime
wake up
thing
in the
that takes
morning.
me through
Yeah.
the afternoon. And then
I can't say
sometimes there's
anything.
also a pre-practice one or pre-game
I
one
would
for
say
sure on
this:
game days.
water
I
will make
chug
you feel.
flavored Red Bulls too much.
I do the I do the water. I just want do water with Mio, the caffeinated
Yeah.
Mio in it all
Yeah.
day long.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyway, I got a few other scores for you boys that I've
so I
tracked
got a
down from the.
USCB baseball score.
Do you
Oh,
against the
Y'all will
yeah,
be
I forgot
happy.
about that.
Claflanders?
Y'all will be
How'd it
happy.
go?
They have won their first series as a program this season.
All
Nice.
right,
Beating, wait for it,
Claflin.
Claflin. They won. They won 10-0 and 8-5. Yes, today actually they had a doubleheader today. 8-5. It's a bit worrying, but hey, whatever. And
Hey,
they
A
have a
win's
game
a
game's a
tomorrow.
win,
win.
Bubba.
But
A
Game's
win
a
they
is a
win.
won
win.
both. Huh?
What'd they
A
win
win's a
yesterday?
win. Any way
Huh?
you can take it.
That's right. Especially when you ain't won a series all year. What
So
was
Yeah.
the score yesterday?
they played a doubleheader today instead of a game yesterday. So
Oh, and then they play tomorrow.
yes, then they play tomorrow. So they
Okay,
won first game 10-0, second game 8-5.
good
E.
enough.
And
Good enough for
so
government work.
they have their next game tomorrow. And by the way, if I'm looking at the schedule properly, this is their last home series of the season, and more than
Really?
likely
I think
they're not making the playoffs. So
Yeah,
this
they're
is it
not
for
making
them.
the playoffs.
they end
So
at home, don't they?
no, they end on the road at Savannah State according to their schedule.
Huh. I
Really
could have
interesting.
swore that they played like
Or
on the
maybe hold
26th and
on, maybe
27th
I'm
at
not
home.
looking. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a
Yeah.
second. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, they have one more series at home against USC Aiken.
Yeah, to end the
Oh
year.
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
If they have any chance, they need to win both series. But you know, we know
Yeah.
what we
Did
know
you
how
look
that
at the
might
standings?
go.
How far out are they? Do they have any chance?
That is what I'm going to look at right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't think so, because I mean they don't even have double-digit wins this season, right? Like total.
No, not even
Yeah.
close.
No,
Yeah.
they can't. I wouldn't think.
Yeah. It's been rough.
No,
Been a tough
they're at
year.
like 7 or 8 wins on the season.
Well,
7-31 is their
I guess
record. They're 3 and
okay,
17.
they have a
However,
chance to get to double
however,
digits then.
they have a
They do.
chance. They also have a chance to still make the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah.
That would
So
be something else.
here's the only thing, though. They'd have to win this game. Augusta would have to lose out the rest of their games in conference play, and USCB would have to win. Well, actually, sweep the series against Aiken. That is the only
Okay.
scenario they get
Wow.
into the playoffs.
Highly
Okay. So
unlikely,
it's
but
a bit of a
say
They're
there's a
they're sitting
chance.
at
long.
so USCB is sitting at the bottom at 3 and well not at the bottom. Claflin is. Claflin's 0-20 in region play. USCB is 3 and 17. Augusta is 6 and 14. Ooh, interesting. And USC Aiken is 7 and 13. So there is a chance. There is a chance, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it because
So
I
Marcus, you're a Boston sausage guy at Fat Babies?
Well, I used to be, and then
Okay.
I think they changed up whether they added like butter or something to the bread. It didn't quite agree
Not
with
didn't hit
me.
right for you?
Yeah,
Well,
not quite. But their
they
wings
have
are
a
really
new
good.
owner. I'm pretty sure
well,
it's a new owner of Fat Babies.
Kevin Stern, served the owner of Fat Babies today. You should have asked him to sponsor Lowco Sports. Probably
Because
forgot, but
it's not 'cause I used to know the owner, uh, Pete Bernstein, but I don't think he's the owner anymore. I think he
oh,
sold it.
Yeah, I don't think
new
so.
owner should definitely sponsor Lowco Sports and bring in some of those Boston sausages.
Ooh.
There's
But
something.
some other scores that I came across Friday softball, May River beat Beaufort 15-1, Colleton County 16-0 over Hilton Head. Either Bishop England or Bluffton got a big win, but I don't know which because I couldn't find the score. Baseball, May River 6-2 over Beaufort, so they take the series. Bluffton takes the series from Hilton Head 14-1 in the finale. Bishop
Wow.
England 16-0 over Colleton. Hilton Head Prep
Oh,
back on track. Hilton Head Prep lost their win streak. They lost to
Looks like 18 or something.
Tallulah Falls team at
yeah.
18 games, but they came
Yep.
back and beat Palmetto Christian 17-1. Bridges Prep beat Hampton 5-4. That was a good game. Both those teams are pretty decent in 2A baseball. And then Oceanside smacked Battery Creek 14-0. No surprise, Battery Creek's best player is an eighth grader who's on our Waves team, and I ain't lying, he is really good, and he's gonna be really, really, really good. Cooper Evans, remember the name. He's really
Got
good. He
for the
moved into
next
the
year or
area.
so.
Yeah, he came into the area from Camp Lejeune. They're military, and Dad found us looking for a travel team, and we're grateful he did because this dude can play and really fits our mold. He's a hard worker and really good, respectful kid, and wants to work hard and be as good as he can be, team first, all that stuff. But he's a grown man, and he's playing varsity for Battery Creek in 8th grade, and sounds like he's their best guy. Um, and man, he put on a show today at practice out in the Ville. He can swing it. Damn, son.
Yeah.
Um, Looking forward to putting him in a little smaller yard this summer and see what happens. Because the Ville is a big yard, but he was stroking it to the gap and getting pretty close to popping one out of there. It was pretty good. Girls soccer, Bishop England 1-0 over Hilton Head last night. You mentioned the college baseball. I don't have much from today, but Hilton Head Prep won again in baseball 9-0 over Northwood. HHCA won 5-3 over JP2, so they've had a couple close games with them.
I had a feeling
But
it would be.
HHC's gotten the better of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good little rivalry and going to be for a while because both are good at the lower levels too, like at the JV and middle school levels. They're pretty competitive. So it's going to be fun. That's most of what I got. I know that Los Canes soccer, boys soccer. Last night they had the big game against Royal, as my friend Nixon. We always ask Nixon, "Who's next, Nixon?" And he says, "Bamberg or Royal or
Bamberg.
Ridgeland." But up next was Royal, and we had them last night at City Hall for the city championship. Los Canes come out on top in OT.
Yes.
So they come home with the dub. And then they had a skeleton crew today, Saturday morning game after a big Friday derby. But the Holy
Oh,
Innocents were in town from Atlanta, and they're trying to get a
Mhm.
couple games in on their trip, and we didn't want to deprive them of that. So I think we had 13 dudes dressed this morning, out of all the varsity and JV combined, because guys had to work and guys were banged up and stuff. Gave them a battle. Lost 3-2. Quite a
ooh,
battle with the
that's
Holy
not bad.
Innocents.
That's pretty
Yeah, it
good.
was a
Not
good
bad.
match. Good
Not
match.
bad. I like that.
Nixon put the team on his shoulders.
Bright
That's what
future.
that
How they doing?
Bright
How they doing in the
future.
region?
Little Kins.
Are they getting healthy?
uh
I know they had some injuries early in the season.
yeah, we did and played a brutal schedule, but we are in position to clinch the region now, I believe, as long as we take care of business going out, which Royal was the only team that got us the first time through. They got us on PKs. So, that was
Also,
our
they're
only
one
loss.
loss right
But
now.
yeah, we just had the one loss in
Beautiful.
region, but then we
Yeah.
just beat them in overtime last night. So, and they have 2 games. One, it's a debacle. It's a debacle. So, in our region, Royal had one game with Ridgeland that went to overtime, and the refs left. They didn't play the overtime or the
Yeah, I
penalties.
heard about
They
that.
just
Mm-mm.
left.
Ah.
So
Mm-mm.
that's a problem because high school league rules say you have to play to a
Does
conclusion no matter
Justin,
what.
real quick?
And then there was
Does
another night where Royal had a crash out situation, and the refs said, "We're not finishing this game," and left with them leading 1-0. And so
Wow.
we don't know what's going to happen with that one. So
Mm.
we can make it all moot as long as we just beat Ridgeland and we beat Bamberg twice already, but we got Denmark one more time, and Denmark's dangerous. Denmark's got a bunch of athletes,
I
and they were frustrating the hell out of Royal that night. That's why Royal had to crash out. Um, if you let them play their game, now luckily, see Royal had to play them on turf at City Hall, and they got speed for days. They got a bunch of football and basketball players out there playing soccer, and they were just playing it over the top and running up over it and
Yeah.
making them crazy. So it's 1A soccer's wild now. There's some good teams in there though. It's not going to be a cakewalk, and the upstate's tough. But
Justin, I
I
got a
think
question.
that our region has a chance to make a deep run. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
what's
got a
up.
I got a question regarding that. Where are the refs coming from?
You
Are
know, I
they
don't
out of
know.
Orangeburg?
I know with baseball, softball, they
Ohio?
come out of Orangeburg. I don't
No,
know. I don't think they do for. I think they come out of Beaufort for soccer. Because I know we've had Renex and we have. I
that
was
is
talking
so
to a soccer
stupid.
ref from the area today.
I still am so mad about that. Like you should, no ref should just get up and walk out of a game. when
It's
it's not
Especially if
crazy.
you know. I don't feel like you can pretend like you don't know. I think you
Well,
knew.
I do. I mean, 1A probably doesn't get the best, doesn't probably draw the best officials. I think one of the
still,
issues in our region is there's a lot of frustration with the refs that they don't know what the players are saying because they're speaking in Spanish. And
Yeah.
they
yeah.
assume that the players are saying certain things that I don't think the players are saying.
No.
And maybe they are sometimes. Maybe they are sometimes. But I think most of the time they aren't. And I think most of the time the refs assume they are. And they use
Yeah.
colorful language toward each other too, you know? And so, like, I just think it's a little bit of a cultural misunderstanding sometimes of them thinking it's something it's not. And, like, or it's more than it really is, and blowing it out of proportion and just crashing out and leaving because they can't communicate with anybody to figure out what's going on. It seems like chaos to them, so they're like, "We're out of here." It's not really
Yeah.
chaos; they just don't understand what's going on.
No.
So I think that's part of it. I do.
Yeah, but that's
Also,
ridiculous.
with 1A schools, it's less likely that you're going to have an administrator on duty that really knows exactly what the
What's going
situation
on?
is and how to handle it. You might have just a teacher who is the administrator on duty that night because you had 3 games that night, and you got a principal, and he's also the acting AD, and then you got me, who's sort of like the de facto AD, but also a head coach for another sport, and like everybody has 3 hats on, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So sometimes it's like, well, who's in charge here? And they can't find who's in charge there, or who's in charge doesn't know what to do, and so they just peace out. Like,
What
there's a lot
Walsh?
of factors,
Well,
a
you
lot of
guys could
factors. Is what I'm
you
saying.
could delegate if Walsh stops going to get sausages. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, it's all hands on deck. It's all hands on deck at the small schools. And if
Oh,
we're small, then Royal
that was
Live
a good
Oaks
one,
is
Juwan.
tiny, and they got
And big old
like almost
sausages, man.
nobody to cover that kind of stuff.
That's crazy to
So
see where they're going to expand to if that school gets bigger because they just put that
Yeah.
like on the corner and took over I guess like the old public building, and
hmm
now it's just like you put the soccer field there, but like you're playing basketball in the county building like which is across
right,
the road, and it's like
right.
if that expands, like if it gets bigger towards a 2A, you know what I'm saying? Like where are they going to go?
I
You're
don't know that they have ambition for that though.
No.
It seems to me that their ambition is not to build it through athletics. It's to provide athletics for the kids that are there for the academic experience, but not necessarily to build it through athletics. And they also seem
Hartsville, I think.
fairly we have a good relationship with them in the sense that they seem fairly content to allow their kids to play for our programs and the programs that we have, that it would be cost prohibitive for them to start, or they don't have facilities like you know, in fact, I think there may be a little traction to just let their kids play basketball for us because they're really having a hard time keeping enough kids to keep a program, and it's not competitive. And at some point, it
yeah,
just doesn't make sense. If you're
Yeah.
not recruiting that kind of kid for that reason, it just doesn't make sense to keep expanding athletics and not be successful. So I
Right.
think they may keep it
because
pretty tight,
losing gets
like
tiring.
it's right, like it's
No
working for
doubt.
soccer, right? So you keep that going. But the sports it's not working for, why keep beating your head
Yeah.
against the wall when
Well,
everything
I
else
think
you're doing is working?
the other thing would be if any school in Hardyville is going to grow, it's going to be Hardyville High School because with the way
Well, they're all
housing is,
gonna grow. They're
they're
all
all
gonna
going to
grow.
grow, but with the way housing is going up out in the Hardyville area, especially with the jobs that are
Yeah.
going to be coming to the
Yeah,
Hardyville
but
area.
they're building a really nice little subdivision, walking distance to Royal Live Oaks too, and that's going to
Yeah,
be really appealing to a lot of
Yeah.
people because it's a good academic school with a good mission,
Yes.
and they're doing good things there
But
academically. So,
I think with how Hardyville is going to grow, I think Hardyville High School itself, in terms of athletics,
oh
eventually will
yeah.
be moving up towards 2A.
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's
I think it's a given
100%.
that we're probably 4 to 6 years maybe from being
I
at
would
least
think so.
2A,
Yeah.
and maybe 10 from being possibly 3A, like depending on how quickly some of this stuff comes together, the port and
Yeah.
some of the housing that's coming in, and how much more like manufacturing they're able to attract because they've attracted a little bit to Hardyville. So, you know, you
Well,
need
with them
jobs to
building,
get people to move
also
there.
with them building that port on the Jasper County side of things, that's going to bring thousands of jobs to the Hardyville area, which is going to be huge. And then you got, of course, Bucky's is going to be going up in the next 44 years or so
Yeah,
as
and they got to
well.
hire like 19 people to clean the bathrooms at all times. So,
Yes, yeah, you know, like it's
Better than
the
the one
area
at
is
Quick
growing.
Trip.
The area is growing. They have the room to grow, which means while they grow, so
tripping.
will the schools itself. You know, and it
Bucky's
makes
is
me wonder.
overwhelming.
It is
Like
overwhelming.
Huh?
I
Maybe you're
basically
underprepared.
I have many times gone into Bucky's and said I wish Bucky's, but without the front part of Cracker Barrel. You know, like I just want the gas station part of Bucky's and just get rid of the Big Lots / front part of Cracker Barrel part. Like it's just too much.
It's
And
awesome,
I
man.
then
won't
Love
I
say.
it.
I
walked
won't
into
say
Quick
no.
Trip and I was like, hot damn, this is Bucky's without the Cracker Barrel part. And I
I love
really like
Bucky's,
Quick Trip.
Hey,
man.
I'll
Now
tell you what though.
I must also
It makes
say
you
it's
feel
a
like stepbrothers.
rediscovery. It's a rediscovery of Quick Trip because back in the day when I worked at Cracker Barrel for a year, speaking of Cracker Barrel, the longest 11 months, not quite a year, longest 11 months of my life, quite possibly, working at Cracker Barrel. Although I loved it, and I will write about it in my book someday. But when I worked there was Quick Trip across the street, and I went there every day with my stack full of cash, and I bought things that we shouldn't talk about on the show that kids watch. You know, things that are just you shouldn't be doing.
Food's high in
But
sugar. Got it.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Things that people who work in food service for a living at age
Yeah.
19 tend to need to keep sane. And so
Yeah.
anyway, I'd go in there and get some of those,
Bubblegum.
and yeah, and then I'd usually just go play golf. But now I don't need to go buy those anymore. But I do go to Quick Trip to get me some blueberry donut holes, some iced coffee, and whatever I dial up from the kiosk that day. Although just grabbing a good grab and go brisket
Hey man,
sandwich is never a bad choice.
a barbecue pulled pork grilled cheese is like my go-to at Quick Trip every time. Every time. Anyway, can we get back to sports?
Yes, Cracker Barrel is the most appropriately named restaurant on the planet. No doubt about
we
it.
at my household
No
we
doubt
call it
about it.
Caucasian bucket.
Caucasian bucket.
Asian bucket.
Hey, I lost my starting center fielder to a job at Cracker Barrel this week. So what are you gonna do?
Did you really?
I told her, baby,
Nice.
I worked at Cracker Barrel for a year. I promise playing
Oh,
softball's a
this is
lot more
yeah,
fun.
I know who you're talking about.
Don't worry
Yeah,
about it. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. Hey, kid gotta work, kid gotta work. I get it, man. I ain't mad about it.
yeah.
But I am confused because I worked at Cracker Barrel for a year and playing high school sports is way, way, way more fun than working at Cracker Barrel. Our
Oh
season will
god.
be over in a month and Cracker Barrel's still gonna be hiring. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
But
But
Yeah.
but you know what I think about that too sometimes when you hear a story like that. You know, regardless of the smile on the kid's face, you never know what's going on at home.
100% right. 100%
And it
right. And I know
sucks. That's what I
Thousands.
think.
there's often pressure from home. You need to get a job because we got to make the rent. Like that's real
Yeah.
stuff. I get
Right.
it. I really do, and that's why I ain't mad. I really not. I ain't mad about it. I just would love an explanation. That's
Yeah.
all.
That's
And
why I was
maybe I
glad
can.
my mom was able to let me just play sports in school. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah. And
but
that shouldn't be a
it's rough. Yeah.
barrier, but it is for a lot of kids, and it sucks. It's a real thing.
Yeah,
The other one
it's
is the
pretty tough.
ride. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
the
Getting to and
ride
from.
is really hard to come by for a lot of kids. Really hard. And that sucks.
Well, I didn't
Because
have
one
that.
thing that
So
I can say is my children have never had to miss anything because they couldn't get a ride. Like, thank goodness between the two of us and a network of people that we've helped by getting their kids to things over the years,
Yeah.
we don't ever have to worry about that.
And
Thank goodness. But
I
it's real for a lot
will
of people.
I will speak as somebody that does not drive, never
Yep.
have. Obviously, Sam has helped me a bunch. I have fit that mold certainly with the network of colleagues in, with WHHI and my mom and dad and people I sing with and neighbors and friends and you name
Yep.
it. but what Uber and Lyft, and
Yep.
I've never been a Lyft guy, but what Uber and Lyft
Down
both
with Lyft.
do is absolutely phenomenal.
It's brilliant. It's
They're
brilliant.
terrific folks, and you
I
talk
I
about
wish.
growing a community. They help
Are
do
you
that.
down on Lyft? Hey, JJ, saw you thumbs down. Are you
Oh
down
no,
on
he
Lyft
was
because
just
they
saying
told you you
I've
were too
never
big to
been.
get in?
He just said I've never been a Lyft guy. I've never been a Lyft
I've
guy.
never
So I was
Oh,
like,
I
down with
tried
Lyft.
Lyft,
Where
and
Uber's? Like,
just
I don't
even
know.
with the network, or not the networking, but the stuff, the app and whatnot on the phone, it didn't
Yeah,
work for me.
didn't work for
I
you.
tried Uber a couple of times. I found that it worked. I'm a guy that,
Uber
I
is
go by the
beautiful, man.
KISS
Just
method
works.
a whole bunch. So I'm an Uber guy, and they have really helped me out a lot. And
You
you
are an
talk
Uber
about,
guy.
again, growing the community in which we live in. I mean, super super people too. They
Well,
really are.
speaking, I do wish they would take a little better care of their contractors, who they don't call contractors, right? I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. They
I
call
hate,
them
yeah, I
not
hate companies
employees,
like
but
that. Yeah.
contractors. That's kind of crappy. If you want to know
Right.
more about the ins and outs of the rideshare game, you got to check out our friend Nate Livesey, former basketball coach at Beaufort High and Beaufort Academy and other places. He does next play development, I think, is what he calls
Wait,
his thing right now. He's got some stuff coming up. He wrote the
is
book,
that how you said
Five
that?
Star Rides, Uber Pro Tips, and Rideshare from A to Z. Available on your Kindle for just $3.99.
That's
Nate Livesey.
actually how I met Nate,
Um,
along with a few others, was via
really?
Uber. Yeah.
Yeah, you've had a few Loco sports celebrities Uber you, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It
That's
started
Always
off.
keep
I'm
me.
trying to think if Nate was the first.
that's
Nate and
both
Reggie
cool
Jones were
and
very,
sad. I don't think that
very
it's a great.
soon after each
I
other,
agree
and
with that
then
statement, Justin.
It's
I
both
just
great
met
and
Daryl.
sad. I don't think it's a great reflection on our society that people who have devoted their lives to teaching and coaching children are having to take moonlighting jobs as Uber drivers. I'm not
Yep.
And
great
again,
with the
with them, it was years
commentary that
ago.
that says about our society, but
Yeah.
nonetheless,
I think it's terrible. Like when I had a friend, she's a teacher, and she showed me how they do the pay scale.
yeah,
And to see the max money you can make, it's like after 15 years and a PhD as
yeah,
well. And it's like, first of all, a PhD to teach high school students for one, okay.
right.
But also, it's
You can
like,
almost make as much as like a new graduate with an MBA.
yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're teaching kids, and it's like you're wondering why you're not keeping teachers. You're wondering why people are not devoted because you're trying to live on the idea of nobility, and that's great when the market was okay with nobility. But
Right.
now it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not about to deal with these bad behind kids that ain't mine for $60,000 a year, and you won't
I'm
buy
doing
me
it for.
colored paper for a project you want me to get these kids to do.
It is,
Like,
the struggle is very, very real, and we're all going through it together, the kids
If
and the churn and the teachers right now,
if I can
trying to get
clarify
the
something
finish
real
line.
quick, maybe I didn't quite say it the way I thought I did in my head. Um, the drivers
Yeah,
have been terrific. Certainly
yeah,
to
yeah,
me,
yeah.
I talk about the people that I've met through, the
Oh
sports
yeah,
world and whatnot here and beyond. They are, the all-star
amazing.
quality and just tremendous.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a great Uber driver story then while we're on Uber driver stories. When my wife and I tried to get tickets when Lin Manuel announced that he was coming back to play Hamilton in Puerto Rico for the hurricane relief, we tried to get in the ticket
Manuel.
lottery and failed. We tried the ticket lottery and failed. So we said, well, what if we just went ahead and just went to San Juan for that weekend? And if we're able to get tickets, great, that's a bonus. But if not, it's okay. At least we got to spend the weekend in
So to
San
San
Juan. It'll
Juan.
be wonderful, right? So we did that. And thanks to an Uber driver, we did get tickets. We were trying to figure out first, like 24 hours there, like, what do we do? How do we try to get tickets even? Like, we don't even know. And then we got an Uber back from downtown for the Sanse Festival, which is basically Savannah St. Patrick's Day on steroids. Like these people are insane.
Oh,
They got
Ooh.
street food on every corner. They're marching down the streets with like heads on sticks and chanting stuff. I don't know. We got in. We got in on a couple of those and just followed them down the street for a while. It was wild. So anyway, we're Ubering back to the hotel and we're anxiously wondering if we should ask this guy about Hamilton tickets or whatever. And I finally just go, "Hey, do you happen to know anything about how we can get Hamilton tickets?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't, but my aunt got some this morning. Let me call her and ask her what she did. Warning though, this is going to be in Spanish." And we're like, "Oh, no worries." And so he calls her on the speaker and has this long conversation in Spanish. And at the end, he's like, "Okay, here's the deal. We got to go over to this place. You got to get in the line, blah, 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 blah." So we go, he goes, "Do you want me to drive you by there?" And we're like, "Yeah, please." So he like stops and waits for us to get out and run up there and chat up some people in line. Like, "What time did you get here? What time did you get here? Do you think you're gonna get tickets? Okay. What time did you get here? Do you think you're gonna get tickets? Oh, definitely. Okay, we're gonna get here whatever time you got here. Like, so we did that whole thing. Went, got back in the car, and he took us back to the hotel. And we got there when we were told to get there the next morning. We scored tickets, and we got to see Lin Manuel play Hamilton in San Juan. It was unbelievable, and it's all because of a kind Uber driver and his Spanish-speaking auntie.
Nice.
That was
So
what's
go
up.
Uber,
very
go Uber.
nice.
It's
Yeah.
probably a good parting thought. I think we did parting thoughts before the sponsors tonight, boys. Maybe we have one more small item or something that we can add in here at the end,
Yeah.
but we'll keep it brief. But we do have some sponsors to shout out. Hudson Seafood House on the docks, back in the Loco Booster Club. Great place for seafood sunsets and cocktails on Hilton Head. Presenting sponsor of Under the Bus. New episode is out there in the ether. New sponsors, Hilton Head Furniture, the Stola family. Big supporters of Hilton Head Christian Academy over the years, supporting the whole Loco sports scene with their new sponsorship of Loco Sports. Great handcrafted furniture made up the road in North Carolina, brought down here to sell to you, to put in your home for a long time. Hilton Head Furniture. And our new sponsor, HHI Windows and Doors. Coach Barron finally retired from the basketball game. Couldn't stay retired for long. He picked up a new gig,
No.
Hilton Head Island Windows and Doors. So if you need to improve your view of the Low Country, get with Coach Barron. He might teach you a little about the Princeton offense. He'll definitely get you set up with better windows and doors. Yeah, my Spanish accent sounds like Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
I was hot, so I cut off all my hair. And it turns out it was my hair that was making me hot. It was a big mistake. Do you want to have chimney chengas every day? Vote for summer. Other sponsors we got to show love to. Base Hit Live, baseball and softball themed apparel. Live your best Base Hit Life. Get a great t-shirt, hoodie, or hat at basehitlife.com. Dr. Ambrose Cole, official chiropractor. Find him at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and he'll get you feeling right, mind, body, and spirit. Reverence Wrestling Club, official wrestling sponsor and presenting sponsor of the Loco Grind. And boys, a couple of my boys coming out of retirement. Coach Jerry Robinson, former Buford Eagle, and Coach Chase Gearhart. Those would be the coaches at McCracken and Hardyville, respectively. Two men I assisted this year are going to be wrestling in the U.S. Open against some of the big dogs in the country. These psychopaths, I think it's so funny. I can't wait to see how they do. Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country, and they're training at Reverence, by the way. Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country, getting your floors so clean, your feet will thank you. And Jay's Barbershop, the place to be in Ridgeland, whether you need a haircut or not. I heard some of the players or somebody missed a game because they had a haircut scheduled. That was a pretty good one.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
we're not gonna go
Yeah.
into that. I don't want to
No,
talk
that
about
was. I couldn't remember what team it was genuinely, but I just remembered when you said that. Oops.
We're not gonna
Very
talk about
Uh,
it.
Really?
important.
you can't make it up, man. You can't
We're
make
not
it
gonna
up. It's
talk
that
about
hard to
it.
get
I
on
don't
the
want to talk
schedule.
about it.
Your man must be
I,
really good if it's that hard to get on the schedule. He
Oh,
must
if
be
I don't
really
book
good.
my guy by Tuesday, I'm done till next week.
they just.
Can't let them
I
edges
don't
come
even.
in, huh?
I don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it because if I do, I'm gonna go on a rant.
But
He's gonna
I go a
crash
while.
out.
Sometimes I
Max
go
is gonna
2, 3 weeks
crash
without a
out.
haircut. Yeah.
Max is gonna crash out. He's gonna crash out.
I will
All right.
crash
You
out.
replace
Other
an
parting
NBA young
thoughts?
boy.
Quick parting thoughts. Anyone?
Well, I mean, if for those of you who didn't know, the Masters is currently on
It
up in Augusta
is.
right
I
now.
actually thought
Rory,
about opening the show tonight with a little thing I rehearsed in my head where I was like doing an Irish accent because I was listening to
well,
Trevor Amoman all day, and I was gonna say, will the ghost that have haunted McElroy come back to roost at Augusta on Sunday, or will the boy from Northern Ireland turned man finally complete the slam? Tune in
well,
Sunday
it
on CBS.
it certainly it certainly looked that way today until the very end of the round when
Yeah.
DeChambeau birdied
Bryson
out to finish out the
DeChambeau.
round, making it a two shot difference between McElroy and Bryson DeChambeau. Um, uh, it was moving day to day, and I kind of predicted it. We talked about it in our group chat as what's Justin Rose going to do in round three, and well, he did exactly what I thought he was
Yeah,
going to do.
he
Um,
faded.
which is what he's
Rose
best at, apparently,
faded.
because he's now, if he
He's
doesn't
old
win,
now, though.
if he doesn't win tomorrow, this will be the 11th time that he has led in any of the first, second, or third round of the Masters, the 11th time, and not won it if he doesn't win
Wow.
Yeah,
tomorrow. By the
that
way,
doesn't.
the next player on that list has done it 5 times. He has doubled the amount of rounds
Yeah,
that he has led and not won it.
I think
And he
it.
choked
I
today.
don't know what that says, though. For one, it says he plays really well at Augusta.
He
He's been
does.
able to
He
be
does.
in position
Well,
to be in the lead many times.
this
Um,
is his what,
it's
20th Masters.
well, that's what I'm saying is he's past his prime. You wouldn't expect him to win a one at this point.
He's
It would be an
44 years
incredible
old.
story if he did. But the
Yeah.
fact that he still held the lead at some point this year, as a 44-year-old who's kind of past his prime, is pretty impressive to me. He's a really steady player. He hasn't won as much as you kind of would have maybe thought, but he's been really good for a long time and made
He's
a
won a
ton of
major.
money.
I'll give him
And
that.
he's a
He's
good
won a
dude.
major.
Wow.
He's a major
I got
winner.
nothing but
Of
love for
course.
Justin Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good player.
But
He's in a
I
bunch of
mean,
tournaments.
I'm
he
rooting
he
for
had the
He's
lead.
Rory
He
all
solid.
had
the
the
He's
lead
way.
today. He had the lead going in today, and Rory
Golf is
McIlroy.
kind of
I
stupid.
mean, this is part of it.
Yes and
Rory
no.
McIlroy had a round for the ages for him. One of his best rounds ever
The
at Augusta.
masses.
He was absolutely fantastic. And I think he had threes
He
across the
was on
board for like the
fire.
first 5 or 6 holes.
6 holes, I
Um,
think.
yeah, and so I mean Justin
Is
Rose
golf
quickly went
stupid?
from being 3 shots up to 7 shots down going into the final round tomorrow, and it's
Right.
just to think about.
So,
And
yeah,
Justin Rose also shot 3 over on the day, so
barring
it
a
does.
total collapse by McElroy, which is not off the table, um, he's at 12, DeChambeau's at 10, Connors is at 8, and then Reed and Oberg are at 6. Reed and Oberg, I think they would need McElroy to come back a few shots to really have a chance. Connors, potentially he could go low enough that even if McElroy kept it pretty steady, he could maybe outduel him.
Yeah.
DeChambeau is the one he's got to worry about. But Connors is a guy that I thought would for sure win at the Heritage one year, and he hasn't yet. And he still might. He's just a really good player. He's really steady. I'd love to
Oh,
see him win. I don't think he's going to make up a 4-shot margin. But if it comes down to McElroy and DeChambeau, I'm Rory all the way. Not a
me
big
too.
DeChambeau
No
guy.
question about it.
Because
Yeah.
I
No
think
question.
in reality, the third round has been more so Rory's worst round in recent memory in my recent memory at the Masters, and he
Yeah,
had his best
he's had
round.
at least one final round where he just like blocked the first one off the tee and was
Yeah,
never right the whole round.
but
Um,
I would say
and
this: like third round was usually the round where we saw him fall behind,
he
and he had his
doesn't.
best round. He has shot a better round each time. Uh,
He seems
this
pretty
week.
unshakable. I think he's
Yeah,
going to get it done. I really do. I
he's
think he's in a
determined.
good place
He
right
needs
now.
that grand slam. He needs the
I want
Yeah,
him
he
to
Masters.
does.
finish it. I really want him to finish it. And I
I do
think if
too.
he does, it could maybe start another run for him where he wins a bunch again because I think this has been a big mental block for him. and
Well,
being the first major of the year, every year that he doesn't win it, it's like it kind of
oh,
takes him off his
well,
game
I
for the
mean,
rest of
y'all
the year.
remember
I
y'all
think
remember
he could
what went
go on a
down.
big run if he wins this.
Well, I mean, you guys remember what went down at the U.S. Open last year, and how that final round turned out
Yep,
between him and Bryson
Yes.
DeChambeau. You
right.
know, he
It's a
wants.
big test.
I
There's
have a
great
Time for
feeling in the
storylines,
Rory's
back of his mind.
revenge.
I just think in the back of his mind
but
he wants
remember,
revenge to go with it
I do
because
too.
the
But
way
I will
that round.
remind you that the great Dan Jenkins, rest in power, my friend. Not really my friend, but he felt like it. Um, he always reminded us that the back nine on Sunday, the Masters does not start until the back nine on Sunday. So
Yep.
Yeah,
we still got work to do before we get there. And the weather looks like it's going to be prime for a birdie fest on the back nine.
I
So
yeah.
it's going to be a fun little shootout. They're going to put some nice risk reward holes out there where you got to go for it to try to make eagle. But if you miss the shot, you're making bogey, and it's going to be like a classic shootout at the Masters, I think, and it's going to be fun.
The only thing I don't like about McIlroy is that he's not coming to the Heritage this year.
Really,
That's what I'm
that's a
hearing.
bummer.
Apparently he doesn't like the course. I don't know. But I would say this: there is one name that I saw today that I was just almost shocked because it's not a name we have heard in terms of golf, and uh, not often as it used to be. And that's Jason Day. He's
Yeah,
not far out from the
he's right there.
leaders
He's
as
always good
well.
at Augusta.
Yeah.
He's at 5 under. I know that,
Yep.
but like we haven't. That's a name that has not been spoken since
He's
he was in
been
his
he's been
prime.
hurt a
Well,
lot.
here's
Yeah,
He's been hurt a
that's
lot.
exactly it. He was outstanding, in the late
oh, he's great.
2000s, 2010s,
He's getting
Yeah,
older
in that
too.
era, he got hurt and for years he was, down in the middle of the pack or even towards
I
the
mean
bottom because of that. He had a
yeah,
small resurgence, but, since
he's
He's
he did
also
win a tournament. He
37,
did win a
so he's
tournament this
kind of
last year too. I'm pretty sure he won a tournament last year as well, which is his first
yeah,
tournament in
yeah, right.
years
yeah.
that he
He's
won.
not.
Like
He's
he's not
just been
done
hurt.
yet.
He hasn't
He's been
totally
hurt.
fallen off.
This is like the first time that I've seen, like, because I watched a bit of him today, and I was
He
like,
can play.
he's really looking. He's
He's
starting to
still
look
got it.
like his old self. Like I
Happy
really
Gilmore
do
2
like.
coming soon. Happy
I
Gilmore
really do
2 is
like the
coming
way
soon.
Jason Day's been playing. I don't think he's going to win this week, but I do think like seeing him play the way he has this week, it gives me a lot of hope for him in
Yeah,
the
he's not
future,
gonna win. He's
especially
too
this
far back.
season. But I do think it's going to come down between DeChambeau and Rory. I
Yeah.
just don't. The only other name I would see maybe making a run is Oberg. Had a great
Well,
finish to his
I
round.
will throw out one scenario to you, and that is that Scotty Scheffler's not having a great week, but he's scraping it
He had a
around
rough
at
game
five
today.
under,
You
which
never
puts
count
him
him out.
seven shots back. And I'm just saying, if he goes out and goes one, two, three, four, 4 under on the first three, and gets to nine, before Rory tees off, he could put a little heat under his skirt. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I do see that as a possibility as well. I don't know.
If
Scheffler did
somebody
not
gets
have.
out hot early, they could put a little heat on the leaders
I
and
watched
make things
I
more
watched
interesting.
Scheffler today as well, and he just didn't look like Scotty Scheffler today. I mean, he struggled a bit, especially through
Mm,
the end of the first nine and through the back nine. He
I
figured it out towards the end,
don't
so that
know the
there
answer
is
to
a
that.
possibility
One
though. But I mean, yeah,
I
you
don't
can
know
never.
if Anderson Jones is a bass fisherman.
one thing to think about when you're thinking about Scotty Scheffler, though, I know it's been a while yet, but back in December, was it his hand or just his thumb that he had the injury
Yeah, I think that's no
with?
longer a concern. He's won
Yeah,
several
I don't
times
think
since
because
then.
he
He's
That's
good.
a
played
good point.
well. He played pretty well through the first two
Yeah,
rounds
he's
of the
fine.
tournament. The third round was not his best. It was his worst round of the week. So I
Yeah,
definitely
and it
I
was
would
an
agree
even
with that.
par. He scraped it
Yeah,
around to even par, so he could easily make a early
yeah,
charge
he
and
could.
get himself up
But
on the leaderboard.
I just feel as if it's Roy's week, and I don't want to say that too soon. But from what I saw him play today and what I saw him do on round two yesterday,
Yeah.
I like how he's playing, and I really think if
Here's a
anybody's got a
question
chance,
though:
he's
Is
got the
golf
best.
stupid? Is golf
No,
stupid?
No,
that is a hot take by one of my best friends in this area.
stupid.
We talk about this all the time on our show, and we disagree like crazy. Golf is not stupid.
So
It
I
it takes
It's just a
it
hard
takes a
sport.
certain
I think it's a
fan
wonderful
without
I think it's a
question.
wonderful game.
It's an amazing game.
Especially at its roots.
It's very unique.
I do have to say that I have become a little disenfranchised with professional golf in a sense. I don't keep up with it. Oh my God. My cat just scared himself to death and just jumped up next to me on the couch, left a trail of destruction behind him. That was
That's
amazing.
funny.
Stitchy. But golf, it has sort of lost its way for me in a way.
I
But I
agree.
think it's mostly, I mean, golf is problematic for me on a number of fronts at this stage in my life as far as my values. One is the environmental impact, and I have some issue with that. Another is the space that it takes up in some areas where we lack affordable housing, and yet another is just the exclusivity and selective gatekeeping of who gets to have access to the sport. Um, and I know there's people who are trying to make inroads on that latter one with First Tee, and the folks at Congaree have done a lot of great things and will
Yeah, they
do
have.
more.
Drive chip
And that
putt.
that kind of
Oh,
thing's happening in communities all over the country and the
yeah,
world, where people are investing in the
yeah,
community through
like
through
the drive
golf.
chip, yeah, like the drive chip putt organization, which is a national
Yep,
Yeah,
organization,
it's
which
another one.
does
there's
that
a
kind
lot
of
of that
thing.
kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I still think some of that's self-serving because I think the reality of the golf industry is such that once you're no longer a kid, where's the access? You know, okay, I graduated from the First Tee, but I'm still a working class person
yeah.
and I don't have the time nor the money to play golf. So,
Golf is an
you
expensive
know,
sport.
it's a very
Oh,
expensive
That's a
sport
great
it's not
and
point.
cheap.
it
It sure
requires
is.
access and it requires time.
A
And
lot of
people
time.
without money do not have 4 hours of free time in the middle
Right.
of when the sun's up to go out
It's
and play
also one of
golf.
the
They just
most
don't. Working people
one
don't
of the
have
most
4 hours when
difficult
the sun's up to
sports.
do anything except
Yeah.
work.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's also one of the most difficult sports you can play as well. I mean,
And
it
that's the
is
thing. I think
sheer.
It's
that's
hard.
why so many people just talk down about it, and they think all it is swinging a club, hitting a ball, getting into a cart.
No, and
Yes.
Just
that's
because it's not
I
physically
mean,
demanding doesn't mean it's not hard, because it
I
is
It's
bro. I
super
so
hard.
mentally
it
demanding.
is.
It's
Marcus, I have
eighty,
to
eighty
Also,
five
though, I
percent
don't think that's even
of
golf.
here.
That's some variation of golf, but that's not competitive golf. Competitive golf is you walk the course. You walk
yeah.
from where you hit the ball to where it went, and you go get it, and you hit it again.
I'm gonna
Of
That's
course.
that's
Marcus.
competitive
Yeah.
golf
I
to
hate to
me,
do this.
and
I
that
hate
is
to do
a
this,
whole
Marcus.
other metric than driving right up to your
Yeah.
ball on the
Sure.
cart and getting on
Yeah,
it.
because you gotta have a
Even
little
I hate to
stamina
do
in
this.
there.
even with that though,
I, I, Marcus, I hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna have to disagree with the physical side of things because it is physically demanding. Whether people believe
It
it or
is.
not, it's a
It
physically demanding
is.
sport. But I
To
will
be
agree
good
with you
at it is
sure.
when it
I
extremely
comes to
physically
when it
demanding.
comes to mental game. It goes back to the notion that golf is stupid. It's not stupid. It's one of
no.
the most
This is
mentally
this is a
challenging
very
sports
fair
in the world.
criticism.
Yes, it does.
It's a very fair criticism, but
Yeah,
I
that
think
does.
all of that
Absolutely.
goes back to the exclusivity and the lack of access. I think
But I,
if we had country clubs that better represented our communities, I think we would find that some of that pervasive culture would
I mean,
cease to exist.
it goes to
But
the
we'll
notion
probably
that
never
golf
have
is.
that because the
Yeah,
reason people go to country clubs is for the exclusivity and for the lack of access. They want to be
but it.
around people
Yes,
like
it goes.
themselves. And
Yeah,
so it's kind of just a conundrum that may never be fixed,
yeah.
and
It
unless
goes
we
to the
have
notion that
like
that
sort of like counterculture golf clubs at some point,
yeah.
like working man's golf club. But it costs a lot of money to keep it looking like the rich man's golf club, and that's why the working man's golf club usually isn't quite as
Right.
enjoyable of an
Yeah,
experience.
and that's
Right.
very true. I'm gonna. It goes to the notion of golf isn't stupid. It's if you're
It's not
if we're talking mental capacity, it's one of the toughest sports, both mentally and physically as well. I would say physically, it is a tough sport. I mean, look at Tiger Woods. I mean, look at all the injuries he has gone through. Not outside of golf
right.
injuries which he has had,
No, it's a
but
physically
inside of
demanding
golf
sport,
injuries.
absolutely. The
Yeah,
amount of
inside of golf
practice that
injuries.
is required is what
Yeah,
is physically
It's a lot.
demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you
And I
have to
didn't mean
practice
that it wasn't at
constantly.
all, but to
Right.
me,
no,
I think
no,
of
But
but I think
relative to
the
football or basketball or
right.
something,
exactly,
relatively
But
speaking.
I
Yeah.
think with
even
golf,
baseball. Yeah.
you
Right.
got to be. I mean, your mental capacity, especially if you're a PGA player.
Oh man.
I can't imagine, especially with like if you're playing at the Masters, you wonder why it's so hard. It's not just because of the course itself; it's because of the fans that are all
Right.
watching you, as well
Right.
as everyone around the world is
Right.
watching you right now, trying to make
Yep.
sure a golf ball goes straight down the fairway. Like
Yeah.
it's difficult. It's a very difficult and mentally challenging sport.
Um, I think all these criticisms Kevin is making are true of a certain aspect and segment of golf. It's networking for bankers, lawyers, and inherited
It's
wealth.
part of it.
That
I
is
would say that
definitely, these are fair criticisms for a certain segment of golf. When we're talking about the country
Not the
clubs,
entire thing.
that's certainly true.
Mhm.
But there's also another side of
Not
golf.
the entire
There's
sport, I
all
should
the
say.
farmers that I grew up around, loading up in the truck one day to go play nine at Beaufort or at Baxter Springs Country Club, which was anything but a country club. You could go pay $10 and play it anytime you wanted. And it
right.
was basically a muni that happened to have a country club attached for people to join. But it was a bunch of farmers going out there in their work boots and playing golf and having a good time. And it was me every day that I got off work at Cracker Barrel and going to the Muni and plopping down my $10 to walk it and playing 9 or 18 as fast as I could, by myself, and
Yeah.
trying to just getting it in.
Right.
It's all those
I,
things, and so
yeah.
that's
I
why I
think
say I think it's complicated. I think at its heart, at its roots, golf is a beautiful sport. It's
Absolutely.
a man against nature, trying to
It's a
knock this ball
walking
around.
contradiction.
It
It's
is. It
it's
is
a
a way to.
beautiful, maddening
I
game.
would I would
It
say this.
is. It's
That's
a
why we love
wonderful
it.
game.
I would say
But
this
I
on
think there's a reason why like disc golf has become really popular, and other forms of golf have started to become
right.
more popular because they can be played. They have all those same beautiful qualities of getting out in nature and being by yourself and having this moment of competition against the course and all this.
At like an
But
eighth of the
you
cost.
can you can do it for free most places. You can go out to
Yeah.
Sergeant Jasper every day and play if you want for free,
Right.
and it's on your time. You can get through the whole thing in 30 minutes if you want
I
to.
would I would say
Play it
this
twice if you
on
want to be there an hour.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I
I would
just think in today's world, golf only makes sense for a certain segment of people, and that happens to be people who have the privilege of spending 4 hours of their afternoon while the sun's up doing something that isn't work, or that qualifies as work for them, and that's just not everybody. Yeah,
I
we've
would
been
say
giving y'all
this.
love, man. We gave you love earlier tonight. We said that
Yeah, we
you
did.
and May River softball were the two teams we were watching for
We
the
did.
man. We give you love almost
Don't
every
worry, bro.
show, bro. We
Don't
love
worry, man.
Fountain County
Don't worry, man.
softball.
Hey,
We got you.
hey, I got
Can I
something to
spit
say.
I know we've been
before
talking for an hour 40 and we only talked about you for a few minutes, but like we did talk about you. What you got, Javon?
with golf? I would say with
Oh yeah.
golf is the world of golf is changing ever so slightly. It's starting to change. It's starting to become better and more, hopefully in the future, more affordable. But I would say at the heart, it is a beautiful game. I agree with Justin. It is a very beautiful game. It's a very
Great game.
challenging, mentally challenging game, especially if you're not a great golfer. But it's a beautiful game. But yes, it does have its downsides. But so does every other sport has its downsides. and
Right.
you just gotta. It's just something to
I
work
just
on.
wish we had a track you could go out and play for $10 or $15. That's what I
That's the
wish
one
we
thing I
had.
don't like about being around here is there aren't many golf courses that are
You got to go
affordable.
out in the country. You got to go out to the Sarge or like Penny Branch used to be great, but that's gone. Like there's country folks out playing golf around here too on the country golf courses. It's not the ones they're writing up in Golf Digest or none of that.
Right.
It's
I,
it's the goat track they call it. You know.
I was gonna say before we get too far from that, as a person who also streams, I always think it's funny when people chime in. You've been live for like almost 2 hours,
Yeah.
and then they chime in and they go, "What about us?" Well, if you were there when we were like 30 minutes in, we talked about you for a
Yeah.
second.
Exactly. You late. You late. You late. We done
Yeah,
talking
chime
about
in.
that.
It's like, well, you didn't say
We
nothing
also
about
talked
us.
about well, I mean, Libby's guilty of it tonight because he wants to know who Anderson Jones is, and we talked about that at the top. And it's hard to believe that anybody doesn't remember who Anderson Jones is, but he
Oh,
was
I
a
do.
I
he
do.
was a
Back as a kid.
multi-sports star at Buford
Oh
High
yeah,
until he had a terrible accident over on Fripp Island and ended up paralyzed and fighting for his life and made it out and is doing well up at Clemson. The last I checked, I hope
It's great.
he's still doing that. But yeah, man, of course you would rather chill dudes playing pickup basketball. Okay, but like to each his own, man. You don't got to yuck somebody's yum. It's all good, man. You go play ball, they go play golf. Everybody's happy. We don't want
yeah,
everybody going to the same place. It's going to be a
I'm
mess.
gonna say this. I'm
yeah.
gonna say
Golf would be
this
cool, like you guys said, just the access. Like, you can't
Right,
drop like you need like you could half an acre. You could drop a basketball court. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Playground. We used to play on this strip of grass.
Got to have half a meal
Football.
to get a
Yeah, for
golf
golf course,
hole.
you need a half a mil. You need a whole neighborhood to make a small golf course. You know what I'm
But
saying?
Yeah.
we
It's rough.
have had preliminary meetings and started visualizing what a golf training facility with a small par 3 course might look like at the Ville. So
Nice.
stay
Yeah.
tuned.
I,
Stay tuned.
I
We had a couple of fellas
can I
walking around with us the other day, checking out a
yeah.
patch of land we
I,
got
I
that might
wanna
make sense.
I wanna
You got
reiterate with
enough.
Kevin.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanna reiterate with Kevin real quick on that last comment he posted. Because I did already say, like Justin said, golf is a beautiful sport. And so is basketball. Basketball is a great sport. It's a beautiful sport. But like basketball and golf, they have their downsides. Not
Sure.
Well,
everybody
everything
wants to
does.
go play
Yeah.
basketball. Not everybody wants to go play golf.
Yeah.
Everybody has the sport of their choosing. My
The
sport's
beauty
baseball.
of this world is that we have all the options, man.
Yes,
Everything's out there.
absolutely.
Whatever you want to do,
And I
it's
think
out there.
and I think basketball has its downsides. It shows, especially at the NBA level, especially when a coach gets fired 2 weeks before playoffs start, and then you got to figure out how you're going to take a team who's a
Uh-huh.
fourth seed right now and through the
True.
playoffs, stuff like that.
You
Well,
know what's fun though is axe throwing. That's
that's
fun.
not the sport
I,
though. That's
no, you're right,
It's
Javon.
kind of a
It's not the
sport.
sport, but it's still
Oh,
it's
well.
basketball,
part of.
yeah.
It's
Well, I
not.
was
Yeah,
saying the
that don't have nothing
firing
to do with
part isn't the sport.
yeah.
That's
Javon,
the
it's not.
business. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but
And
business is
that's a good
part of the
distinction
sport.
too. Any
But it's
sport
part of
at
the
the
sport.
professional level is going to be gross and corrupt and have a lot of
Agreed.
bad things involved because
Agreed.
money
But
is
Money.
involved.
We're
Right.
just talking about the
even at
guys in between the lines. Like
Devon,
that's the sport.
Even at the younger levels, I mean, it's like especially at the younger levels, money is becoming a part of the game at the
Oh
younger levels
yeah.
of basketball, whether we like it or not. I don't like it. I think it's terrible
Nico's
that
gone from Tennessee.
yeah, well, football is starting to become one of those sports where, especially at the college level, that I'm starting to hate, especially
So
with the
this
players
man thinks
more.
ain't nobody else wants to play quarterback at Tennessee that he can just not show up and they're gonna
Aston
just.
Moore,
Yeah.
the door is wide
He's
open for
Yeah.
you,
wrong.
buddy. Go back, bro.
I
You
got
know,
news
like
for you, Bubba. There's a
Well,
whole
I
bunch of
don't.
people ready to line up for that job.
Well, what happened with the NIL? I saw it was something with the NIL issue. What happened with that?
yeah, he wanted
I
more
don't
money.
know, but
He wanted more
he
money. He
held
asked
Oh,
out.
for more
that's what it
money.
was. That was the dispute. He wanted more
Yeah,
money. I hate when
Yeah,
that
that was
happens.
the dispute.
he was holding out.
I had
They
to
called
read
his
up on what
bluff.
happened. I had to read up
Said,
on what happened because it came out of nowhere. And basically, he asked for $4 million in NIL money from Tennessee, and they said no. And he was like, okay, and then just didn't show up to practices during the spring at all.
yeah, he was holding out.
At that point, they're like, all right, fine. You don't think you think
You
you're
want to
so
hold
good?
out?
Then have
See
fun.
ya.
Go ahead.
Go somewhere else. Like that's what happened.
Yeah.
So,
Guess what, buddy?
Gaston, like I said, Gaston Moore, the door's wide open for you, buddy. They need a quarterback right now because all they have is freshmen right now.
Yep.
So, a senior quarterback
He might jump
be the
back
right
out of that
move.
portal.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Speaking of
See,
portals,
that's all I
they
was
need to wait
trying to
to the end
say
of the
from the
season.
start. It's not golf you have beef with; it's the business of golf. It's the
I agree with
Yeah.
that, though.
Yeah.
professional
That is
golf.
the one thing I hate about golf is
And
the
I will
business.
say the business of golf is big here. And so when you
Of
get
course.
outside of this area where the business of golf is a major driver of the economy, golf is a very different game and culture in the rural areas or in the areas that aren't crazed by it, like this. It's a very different vibe. It's the 9-hole course that you play at 2 loops if you want to play 18 out in the country from a small town that I grew up on. That they mow it once a week whether it needs it or not. It's a totally different thing in different places than it is here. I have to say a lot of my disenfranchisement from golf is probably related to just what golf is here, which is not a bad thing necessarily. There's a space for it. People love playing really good golf courses, and I've been privileged to play a lot of the best around here, usually at no charge because of media affiliations and things like that. And I appreciate that, but
Yeah.
it's not the thing that I love about golf. Like
Agreed.
I love what Kevin's describing, which is just some dudes getting out for the afternoon, playing nine, and taking it easy, and we let people play through if they look like they mean business because we're fooling around, and that's fine. We're not in a hurry to get out of here.
Yeah, that's
Or
rough in a
or
tournament
it's
too.
I only got 2.5 hours and I want to get in 18, so I'm playing by myself. Don't anybody talk to me. I'm gonna grip it and rip it, and please let me play through when you see me coming up your butt. Like it can be whatever you need it to be, and that's what I kind of like about it when it's done right. But
Yeah.
the golf culture here is a little too much for me. And that's
Agreed.
not to say it's bad. It's just not my vibe.
It's different.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's different. I
I want to
did
have a
too. I
leisurely
filmed
day.
that. What happened?
Yeah, we
The
should
city
create a
golf
city
club.
golf course.
Yeah, but I mean,
Absolutely.
people probably be flocking to that, especially in
A
this
a
county.
muni.
If you make a
Yeah,
city one
that would
there,
be
but yeah,
awesome. I
I
would love to
filmed too
start a
though.
muni.
I bet you they got plenty of land out in Okeechobee they could be using to build a
Oh,
city
there's
golf.
plenty of land. There's plenty of land.
No, no,
Further
we
out,
don't.
further out,
No.
further
Yeah, I
out,
was say
further out.
we don't need nothing
Oh,
on 170 by Argent. We don't
No,
need
out there
nothing.
where, out there where my boy, out there where my boy Freeman, uh,
Stop
Freeman.
it.
I cannot think of his first name right now. Old Freeman, Hammerhead, out where he hunts them hogs. Let's put a golf course out there. He hunt them hogs out in Hampton County.
They need to
That'd be
put a
good time.
freaking overpass on 462, man, or something. Jesus Christ,
Now that
man.
would be
yeah.
dope.
Oh my God, yeah.
Rooftops and a chopper. Okay, yeah.
Like,
Oh, a city
just
golf
get it
course.
over with,
I
because
see
you
what
would
he means.
save that traffic, man. It's so terrible in the morning, bro.
Oh yeah, you don't want no part
Horrible.
of that.
And
All
then
right, boys.
one accident, it's terrible.
We
You're
done
down
plenty
Broad River.
damage. We done plenty damage. Let's call it a
It was
night.
really bad this morning because they got the Buford Air Show going on over
Right,
in
right,
Buford right now.
Yeah.
right.
Everybody
Air show.
driving up towards Buford this morning was horrific. It was
No
terrible.
sports on tap tomorrow in the Loco, so check out the air show. Is that tomorrow too, as well?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it
As I
is.
was
Check out the
leaving,
air show.
as I was leaving Buford, I had the Blue
Not a
Angels
fan.
flying over my head.
Not my thing, but check it out if you're into that kind of thing.
Hey man,
And
the Blue
if
Angels.
not,
I
say no wants
live
the Masters. If you're not
I,
into
li-
that, then do what you do.
yeah, I
The
live
Blue
less than a
Angels.
quarter mile away. I'm not a fan of the planes.
Yeah, the
Hey,
sound of
hey,
freedom got you
don't
down.
hate on the hey,
Sound of freedom.
don't hate on the Blue
Hogwash.
Angels, man. Ain't nothing gonna stop
Hogwash.
me from going to see the Blue Angels.
I'm
All
trying to
right.
talk on the phone, Max. That's my problem with the
I
planes.
was working in Buford today and I had to deal with all the jets and stuff. It didn't bother
Oh
me.
yeah, it's a thing. All right, boys. Great show tonight. We got everybody caught up on most of the stuff. We did talk Colleton County softball for a little bit. Not a ton. A little
Yeah.
bit though. We said those are two of the teams to watch going into the playoffs. We'll talk more about it this week on the Lowco Sports Lowdown. Not sure what the schedule will be for show yet, but I anticipate a Monday show at the very least to get us caught up. So we'll see y'all then. And thanks to all of our sponsors, especially the OGs, Mickelson Law Firm. Thanks to everybody who joined us tonight. And thank you, Kevin Libby, for thanking us for playing in the sandbox. The Blue
Oh,
Crowns
That's
are
it.
military
Go
propaganda.
Loco, free spring.
That's
No, it's
pretty
fine.
much a fact. But all right, boys, y'all be well. For Max Araj, Marcus Walsh, and Javon Livingston, I'm Justin Jarrett. Till next time, go Loco.
The Lowco Sports Lowdown podcast is a production of Lowco Media LLC and Lowcosports.com, an independent media outlet providing grassroots local sports coverage in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We are sustained by community support from sponsors and patrons like you. Get in the game with a monthly pledge of $1 or more at patreon.com/LowcoSports to keep us going and growing. Go Lowco.